All right, Wednesday night Krug show after the NBA Finals. Frank Red is here, and look who's back in the house. Back by popular demand. The man
Is that
himself.
True? Are you lying?
There may have been some demand. There may not have been demand. We don't know, but we're glad he's back. Let's go. Off and running Wednesday night Krug show after NBA Finals. Game number 3 goes to the Pacers. We're going to talk NBA Finals. We're going to talk a little bit about Golden State. Frank's in the house. We invited Danny, but he's doing some Giants-Rockies post-game. That sounds like a snooze. No, I'm just joking. I'm joking, Danny. I'm joking. But he may join us in a bit. Rye's traveling. Carl's not going to be able to be with us tonight, but we invited Cy. You know, here's my bottom line. I know a lot of people are watching this and they're going, whoa, last time. What about last time? And you know what? I decided that, Cy and I have been friends for a long time, and whether we have our differences in a live stream over sports opinions or not, if you're my friend, I said it last week. I said it the week before. Frank's known me for 20-plus years. Everybody knows me, knows this is true. I don't go through friends like tissue paper. If you're my friend, you're my friend. So bottom line is, Cy and I haven't talked things out. We will. We're not going to address the whole topic of why we were arguing last time. We're not going to touch that. But you know what? Cy, I love Cy. I have for years. We're friends. He's my old producer going way back. And live stream screaming and yelling and whatever does not change that. So he's back, and out of the penalty box as far as the Krug show is concerned. And we're going to talk NBA Finals tonight. We're going to talk Warriors tonight. We're going to talk Kuminga tonight. We're going to talk NBA Draft tonight. And we're going to have a good time for the next hour or so and just chop it up. But good to see both of you guys. Let's just get right into it, man. NBA Finals game number 3, and it went to the Pacers. And here's the thing: OKC gagged game 1, and I said at the time, and I don't know how you guys felt about it. I'm like, if this had been like the Warriors, I wouldn't sweat it because the Warriors, Kerr's been there, Steph's been there, Draymond's been there. They've got guys who have been there. OKC has nobody. The coach has never been there. The players have never been there. And there was a chance that was going to be a death blow. Right now it's on target to be. It's on pace to be. They lose game 1. They come back. They take game 2. OKC, I'm saying, to even the series. But now it moved to Indiana tonight. And I don't know what you guys would point to as far as what OKC didn't do. But Benedict Mathurin was a lottery pick and a high lottery pick, and he reminded people of that tonight. He had 27 off the bench, and I thought Mathurin was the difference. But go ahead, guys. What did you think of this game? I think OKC's better. They were the favorite coming in, but they don't have experience. And now Indiana's 2 wins away from a title, and the more this goes on, the more I think Indiana's going to get this thing. How do you guys see it?
I first want to say I'm never in a million years going to let a disagreement over Steve Kerr affect my personal life. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, Larry, you and I have gone through wars together, brother. No, that was I never took that more than just it was a wild episode, and I'm guessing the audience enjoyed it. So we did our job in that regard. All I could say about this NBA Finals series, and especially after Game 3, is this: thank God the Pacers won. Because if OKC won, I would have safely proclaimed this series is over. I didn't think the Pacers would have had a chance in hell if they lost this game tonight, especially at home. Personally, I love this Pacers team. I'm 1,000% rooting for them. And I'm stoked, man. I'm stoked we have a series. This is not going to be just an ass kicking by the Thunder, and go Pacers.
Frank, what'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, it actually turned out how I thought it would turn out. I mean, I see this series going at least 6 games, maybe 7. I've seen enough basketball and played in some really tight tournaments to the point where you know that the most talented team doesn't always win. It's the team that executes best. That's the team that wins. And you can look at Benedict Mathurin, 26, 27 points. He's a talented guy, and he finally played a game that complements his skill set. But the guy who to me was most impactful for winning this game was T.J. McConnell. T.J. McConnell, when the game was in the balance in the second quarter, when Halliburton couldn't get to the cup, wasn't playing real well, T.J. started doing T.J. things, and he kept the game close, and he built the momentum. He got the crowd involved, and he willed that team to a 64-60 halftime lead. So they went into halftime feeling really, really good. And that was because of T.J. McConnell, man. That guy played his ass off tonight. I think he was most responsible for the victory.
I love that call. And it wasn't just the second quarter, because it was McConnell that had a key bunny in the second half and then stole the inbounds pass and put it in. And those quick 4 points took a 4-point deficit and made it a tie game. I thought that was a huge momentum shift. And McConnell, whatever you think of McConnell's game, he's a hustler. He's always been a hustler. But yeah, I mean, he was definitely strong. I just look at this Pacers team as like, okay, you can bank that Siakam's going to be there, and when Halliburton and Siakam are both on, all they really need is just some third guy. And to step up and give him some production. And it could be Naismith, who's a great shooter. It could be Turner. It could be Nembhard. It could be Obi Toppin. We've seen it be Thomas Bryant. Tonight it was Mathurin. So I just kind of like their options around their stars. I mean, what's the game plan? If you're OKC and you watch this film, Chet had the bounce back game. He had 20 and 10. You got 26 out of Jalen Williams. Shea went for 24, 8 and 4. Lou Dort was in double figures. What do you look at? I mean, their bench gave them very, very little. Mm-hmm. What's the adjustment? If you're OKC, how do you kind of regroup for the next game?
Well, for starters, they need to figure out this is really crazy that in the NBA Finals, as a team that's gone through one of the greatest stretches in NBA history, at least regular season up through this point, they're having a crisis of identity. And what I mean by that is that game one loss, what stuck out the most, at least to me, is the fact that OKC's bigs are largely irrelevant in this series. Like, the Pacers have a clear advantage when it comes to the front court. Miles Turner and Pascal Siakam are outplaying Hardenstein and Chet Holmgren, and it ain't even close. And you look at Chet Holmgren tonight, a player that I think OKC is really heavily relying on if they're going to win the championship. He's one of the core pieces of this. And you look at his stat line tonight, he got the minutes, and that has not been the case for most of the series. And I know the series is very early. It's only 3 games, but he played a series high in minutes tonight, 35. And I know he's technically a big, but they need him to do more than go 0 for 6 from deep. 0 for 6. And every one of those misses are costly because Indiana's pushing the ball right after that. And Hardenstein didn't even start tonight. I think he played 18 minutes. You spoke about the bench being weak for OKC. He played 18 minutes at 4 points. And that's an issue. And this is a huge reason why I am rooting for the Pacers, is because OKC routinely flaunts the value of size in basketball. They think that it's not important, it's not necessary. They got Hardenstein because last year they lost to the Mavericks in the conference semis, largely because they got bullied inside. So they get Hardenstein, and they think that's the answer. Look, Hardenstein's a great player, don't get me wrong, but he's not an elite big. He's not an elite center. And again, he only got 18 minutes tonight. Chet Holmgren has been getting a low amount of minutes in this series until tonight. OKC's bigs are not making a huge difference or impact in the series, and it is costing them. And I don't know what the adjustment is there, but that's where Indiana's winning, at least for me.
I agree. I totally agree. And I feel like Chet has been the most disappointing player in this series. I mean, game one, he no-shows game one. Yeah. 6 points. 6 points. But what's even worse than the 6 points in game one is when you look at what he is as far as aggressiveness. He has 1 steal in 3 games. He has 2 blocks in 3 games. We're talking about almost 90 minutes on the floor in 3 games. And this guy's only committed 3 total fouls in 3 games. I mean, come on, man. You got to be more aggressive than that. I'm not saying you got to hack guys left and right, but no fouls at all tonight. 1 in game 1. He just 6 threes of your 15 shots. So you took 6 threes and non threes. You took 9 of them. I mean, it's just he seems like he doesn't want he doesn't want to bump bodies with anybody. And man, he gets just hurled down to the floor so easily. Yeah, I mean, to me, Holmgren's lack of aggressiveness is, if he thought he was going to somehow win or have a ring and all he was going to do was just kind of play off Shea and camp at the 3-point line and hit wide open threes, he better think again. If he's going to get this ring, he's going to have earned it, and he's going to have to do a whole lot more in the rest of this series as far as aggressiveness than he has done in the first 3 games if they have any shot at all.
Yeah, I think you guys' point is well taken with regards to his physicality and his desire to stand out on the perimeter and shoot jump shots. With that said, I think tonight's game was really lost by the coach, Daigneault, right? Daigneault is his name?
Daigneault.
Mark Daigneault.
Yeah, I think.
Daigneault.
Yeah.
Daigneault. And I say that because in these games, possessions matter.
Yeah.
And late in the fourth quarter, it was a possession game. He needed to call timeout and get something out of the timeouts. He didn't do that. He allowed his team to, quote, play it out. And they didn't play it out. As you guys alluded to, they dribbled into tough shots, and Indiana finally got a rebound and finally made a couple of shots. So I think it was half-court execution that really got them. The 19 turnovers speak to their inability to pass the ball. Shea has to pass the ball. Jaylen Williams has to pass the ball to get some of those bigger guys some easy buckets. They don't get any easy buckets, and that's because they dribble too much. So I think when they watch the tape, they're going to look at the lack of passing, the lack of movement, and the lack of physicality. And that still might be good enough to win Game 4 because Indiana is on a high right now. So they're clearly the better team, but the best team doesn't always win.
It's really quite amazing. Indiana won 50 games in the regular season. Oklahoma City plus 18 as far as games won. 68 wins for the Thunder, 50 for the Pacers. I don't know who's favored to win the series right now. OKC was favored at the beginning of the series.
Heavily.
Yeah, I mean, heavily.
Yeah.
How do you guys see it at this point? I mean,
I'm looking it up right now, Larry, because I'm very curious.
I would say, if I had to guess, I would say Pacers are probably a favorite now, maybe a little bit more than a slight favorite.
Frank, what's your guess? Because I now have the line courtesy of Bet Online. What's your guess on this?
I'm going to say OKC still the favorite.
OKC. Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think they're still the favorite. But Game 4, Game 4 is going to be tight. Well,
I already have the line for Game 4. Before I reveal these lines, Larry, do you want to guess the line for Game 4 in terms of who's favored and by how much?
Okay, so this one's going in Game 4 is going to stay in Indiana, right? It's 2-2, 1-1-1. This is the game that's the harder game typically for the home team to get. It's the second game at home. I would say Indiana -1 in Game 4.
Frank,
I'm going to say -3.
The Indiana's favored?
No, -3.
Indiana is OKC -3.
Yeah, OKC -3.
All right,
I'm saying Indiana -1.
So, Larry, it's a good thing you guys weren't playing with real money because Frank would have cleaned shop. The series lines now. And Larry, I don't blame you for missing. This is not an easy matchup to predict or in terms of lines or otherwise. The Thunder are favored in this series -210. The Pacers are plus 180. And I think that line was about 350, 330 before tonight's game. So the odds makers still think the public is leaning Thunder. And then for game 4, I think this is insane, but it's also kind of not. I'm sorry, I'm not making sense. But the OKC Thunder, 6-point favorites, 6 on the road in game 4 in Indiana. The Pacers, a plus 192 money line. The OU is 225. Your thoughts? That's
well,
crazy.
I mean, it's funny. It's like usually when I see lines that make no sense, it makes me want to go with them. But it's like because I always feel like, hey, somebody knows something.
Yes.
It's kind of like that Knicks line in game 2 of that series. It was like, well, wait a second. Or was it game 3? I forget which line it was, but it just seemed like wrong. And then sure enough, the Knicks won. Yeah, I mean, here's my thought on this. If OKC had any real leadership, I would go with them. But I mean, Chet's a baby. Jalen Williams is a baby. Shea's a baby. Cason Wallace is a baby. I'm not talking about their immature. I'm just saying their relative youth. Caruso is the only real veteran. He's a 31-year-old veteran. They don't have a lot, unless you know more about their assistant coaches, they don't have a lot of championship experience anywhere here. So I don't know what they have to draw on. Now, Indiana, maybe not a whole lot more, but I mean, at least Siakam's been to the finals, and he's playing like it.
Well, he's won a championship. I mean,
he's won a championship, and T.J. McConnell's gutty, and Obi Toppin's a New York City kid. He's not going to shy away in the moment. So I mean, I mentioned this after game 1. I'm a little concerned if I was an OKC fan that if you get we saw the Warriors get rocked several times in their championship run with a right, cross early in a series. But, it only staggered them, and they usually came back and dug deeper and prevailed. But they also had the Iguodalas, and they had Kerr, and they've got, guys who had been there, Steph, Draymond, guys who had won rings eventually. I don't know, man. OKC has great talent, but it's not so great that you go, oh, yeah, they're worlds better than this Indiana team. And then the lack of experience, I don't know. How is Chet Holmgren going to respond next game? I'm not sure. I like Indiana to get 2 more wins. I really do. I think
So you think the Pacers are going to win the series?
Yeah, I do. At this point, I do. I didn't think that early on, but I do think that now.
Interesting.
I think that would be one of the biggest sports stories of the year because OKC is so much better than Indiana. It's amazing in terms of talent. I mean, OKC, they don't have all-stars. They have 3 perennial all-stars.
Yeah.
OKC got 2 guys who probably might make 5 all-star teams max, but they're not perennial all-stars. It's interesting because the star for Indiana is clearly Carlisle. I mean, he has these guys playing at a high level. Benedict Mathurin has some serious flaws in his game. And OKC didn't attack any of them. This guy scored 27 points tonight, and he really can't dribble more than twice with his left hand. And they didn't crowd him. They didn't smother him at all. So this was a coach-to-coach matchup. I thought Carlisle did a masterful job. And Shea, you know what? As great as he is, you got to grab your teammates figuratively by the throat and say, listen, we need to do this and execute. And like you guys talked about, they don't have a definitive leader who's a nasty guy when he needs to be on the team. And that's what champions have, man.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The Pacers, we keep bringing up their record, and record-wise, they remind me a lot of the Celtics. Was it 2022, I think, when they really took off after a really slow start to the season. I don't know why the Pacers struggled to start the year, but at the end of the calendar year, meaning at the end of December 2024, they were 16-18. And they were 2 games below 500. So when you look at their record from that point on, they have been one of the best teams in the NBA record-wise. But Frank, you, I think, highlighted the individual. I was going to wait for someone to, I wasn't sure, Larry, if you're going to dedicate a whole segment to this. It's worth it. Rick Carlisle is doing a masterful job coaching this team. And it reminds me, at least, a lot of 2011 when he was the head coach of a Dallas Mavericks team that no one gave a shot to, myself included. And I'll happily admit that, man. Like no one thought the Mavericks were going to upend a Miami Heat team that was the start of the Heatles, the LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. It was the first year of that run, and the Mavericks won. And Rick Carlisle, I thought, was a huge part of that. Offensively, he's a fan of deception, meaning he likes to run plays to fool defenders, like make them believe the ball's going to go one way, make them believe a certain player is going to score, when in reality the play is designed for another offensive player entirely. He's a great head coach. Props to him, because I do think he's a huge part of this. And he's a perfect example of when head coaching does make a positive impact in NBA basketball.
Was Carlisle on he went to the finals as a player, it looks like in 80.
He won a championship.
In 86?
Yes.
Was he on the 86 Rockets?
No, the Celtics.
Or 86 Celtics.
Yeah. He was on the team.
Okay. 86 Celtics. That was one of the greatest teams of all time.
Correct.
They went 16-2 in the playoffs, I believe.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Rick Carlisle, I mean, that's the one thing. When I looked at this matchup, I'm like, okay, Indiana, I agree. Indiana does. I'll say this, Indiana doesn't look great, but, OKC's bench to me is underwhelming. But then you look at Carlisle. He's won an NBA championship as a role player. He's won an NBA championship as a player. He's been the NBA coach of the year. He's been the coach of the All-Star game. This guy's been around the block, man. This guy's been an NBA coach since the 80s. It's now 2025. So, this guy's got a ton of experience, and sometimes the old head, experience does matter.
Yeah.
This guy's 65. How old's Daigneault? Probably
he looks
40.
He looks younger than me and us, but I don't know how old he is. I'll look that up. But you're right.
So I mean,
right.
Daigneault is considered by a lot of people to be one of the best coaches in basketball, and I believe he is. But it is possible that that he's got a young team. They let's be honest. I mean, that was a very dramatic game one loss.
Yeah,
and it wasn't just a game one loss. It was a game one loss that led by 20.
Correct. On all fronts. This whole thing is crazy to me. By the way, Larry, have you been if I were you, knowing, and I had a brother who was a Sacramento Kings fan,
right?
I would probably go out of my way on a daily basis to remind him that his team had Tyrese Halliburton and they traded him away for a big stiff. I would not let up on that, Larry. Your thoughts on that? Your personal dynamic with your brother, a Kings fan, because they are in the mud. I think they're just shutting off basketball altogether. I don't know how you can watch this if you're a Kings fan. How's that going?
Oh, well, that's like the ninth guy. That's like there's worse than that. I mean, at least they got Sabonis. Sabonis is an all-star big. Kings have made. The worst one was when they passed on Luka for Marvin Bagley.
Oh,
that one right there. Come on. By the way, God bless Don Nelson, who was honored by the Mavericks and then ripped the Mavericks. Did you see that?
Yeah.
He's like,
perfect Nelly though. That was perfect Nelly.
It was like, you idiots, you traded Luka. Don Nelson was such a smart personnel guy, and he probably just kills him to see Luka, given away. But yeah, no, I even though OKC's got more talent, OKC won more games, OKC's got a terrific coach. The one thing when you look up and down their roster, you just don't see. There's no Andre Iguodala. There's no. Is Alex Caruso enough?
Lou Dort and Caruso are supposed to take that role, but
yeah,
you're right, man.
Even Lou Dort's 26. He's pretty young. He's relatively young. So it's just my thing is this. Chet doesn't seem right. He doesn't seem, and it's an awful lot to put all on on Shea. So they're and they got a great performance out of Jaylen Williams tonight, and they still wound up losing the game. So I don't know.
But Larry, you called it. It's the bench. Like the Thunder are a team. First of all, the Thunder are an absolute copycat of the Warriors. Like they literally copied what the Warriors did 10, 11 years ago. And they're trying to replicate it. And until this point, they were doing a damn good job of doing so. But the bench is something they rely on. And so when the bench is putting up points like this, the other Jaylen Williams, well, he hardly played, but he had 0. But like Hardenstein, 4 points. Alex Caruso, who previous game scored 20, I believe, only had 8. Isaiah Joe, they do count on him a lot.
He's a key guy.
Yeah, he only had 6. Aaron Wiggins, 0. Aaron Wiggins is an important part of this. So, yeah, I think you nailed it at the beginning of the show that the bench is what's failed OKC big time. I think
coach not playing the bench though. I mean,
yeah, Joe played 4 minutes.
I mean, Hardenstein. This guy was what, a top 7 or 8 center in the NBA. You get to your moment. You're playing the NBA Finals, and the coach has a brilliant idea not to start you. I mean, give me a break. This is crazy. You know how? I mean, what do they listen? He's a pro coach. He's done a hell of a job, but strategically, I don't get it. You take the best rebounding player off your team and put him on the bench because of matchups against a team that literally has 2 players? Give me a break. I don't get it.
So Frank, who should play more in your opinion? Like where are the minutes being misconstrued or
Listen, if I'm OKC and I'm coaching that team, I'm playing 30, 40, maybe 50% zone. Hardenstein, Chet, Jaylen Williams, Shea, Caruso, whomever. Indiana can't shoot. Against contested shots. So I'm playing some zone. I'm trapping. I'm doing a lot of things I don't see. And offensively, you have to pass the ball. Their shots are created via the dribble off of tough twos. And that's really not how you beat really, really good teams, because at some point, the opposing team is going to gain confidence. Indiana's defense in the second half was better than OKC's defense because they were hustling, they were scrapping, they were doing everything they needed to do to get the win. And OKC gave them that momentum. You don't do that. You take it to them when you're better, which is why I'm pissed off as a Knicks fan, because the Knicks are better than Indiana. But Indiana outplayed the Knicks. They out-hustled the Knicks. That pisses me off, man.
Oh, especially that was at the third game. New York they had their opportunity in that third game, and they couldn't do it. Looking at Daigneault, he's 40.
Yeah,
he's 40. So basically, he played at Connecticut, he played at Florida, and he was a grad. Then he basically was a grad assistant for Billy Donovan. So he was a Florida assistant, 2010 through 2014. But basically, the guy coached the Oklahoma City G League team in 2014 through 2019. Then he was the assistant coach in 2016 for OKC, and then became the head coach in 2020. I mean, he's the reigning NBA coach of the year, but there's very little experience there. I mean, I'm not saying the guy can't coach. Obviously, he can coach. I wouldn't even suggest that a guy would win the coach of the year and be, have this opportunity and say that he couldn't coach. But you know what? There's a lot of pressure here, and you got to make the right adjustments, and you got to do it with everybody watching. And, we'll see. I mean, he says his Wikipedia says he's known for using a high number of small minute lineups with a relatively low degree of concentration on the biggest minute lineups.
What does that mean?
I don't even know. He likes to use
the bench.
He likes to use role players, but it doesn't sound like he's got the role players right now, or he's got the bench. I mean, really, if you said if it was like if you were seeing somebody in an elevator tomorrow morning and they said, "Hey, man, did you watch the finals last night? I missed it." Yeah, Pacers won 116-107. What happened? And you had that like 30-second synopsis. You would just say, you know what? Matherin went crazy off the bench, and Indiana's bench really dominated, outscored Indiana's bench by OKC's bench, or Indiana's bench outscored OKC's bench. Let's see, 37, 41, 49. 49 is what their bench produced to 12, 18. 49-18. There it is.
There you go.
49-18 bench points. That's what happened.
Yeah, that's the game.
Jeff Covey in the chat's asking, what is he watching? Who are these dudes? Yeah, who's anybody? What's life? What's going on here?
What am I watching? Who are these dudes?
I'm guessing
this is the Krug show. That's Cy. This is
I'm an
Frank.
idiot.
They've been on quite a bit.
I know nothing, which is great. I love it.
Who are these guys?
A scroller, right? So people go through YouTube just checking out what's going on. They're like, who are these dudes? What's up?
The interesting thing is, though, it's like I've been thinking a lot about this because when the Knicks lost, I reverted to my 8-year-old self, and I literally was sad. I mean, I was sad for like 20, 30 minutes. Then I figured out why they lost, and I had to move on.
Why'd they lose? What was the answer you came to?
Yeah, what was your conclusion?
They got outworked. They got out-hustled.
Ooh.
Which is why the coach got fired.
There you go.
A really good coach got fired. I mean, I'll give you one example. I've been coaching for a long time. I played for a long time, and that doesn't even matter. This is fundamental basketball. When a guard shoots the ball, a jump shot or a drive, instinctively, the opposite guard or forward who's ever been asked to do it veers to half court to protect the house against long passes. Indiana got about 8 or 10 points after the Knicks missed a shot. They got the rebound and threw it down the court for a layup. That can't happen at any level.
You're right.
But it did against the Knicks, and that's why they lost. They got to hustle.
Jeff Covey found the show, by the way, because he's a Pacers fan. I don't know if this makes you feel better, Jeff. I'm rooting for your team, brother. I hope the Pacers win. For no other reason. I don't know if you guys have talked about this before. It's a massive sore point for me. And I don't want OKC to win shit until Seattle gets a team. Like, I'm old enough to remember the Supersonics getting robbed. Like, an entire franchise just plucked out of a city that loves basketball and placed in a tiny little podunk state capital known as Oklahoma City because the owner was friends with David Stern. And I don't know if you've seen clips. There are watch parties in Seattle where they're rooting for the Pacers just because they're bitter about OKC stealing their team. And I love it. I'm here for it. Go Pacers, man.
In Seattle, they're rooting against OKC.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Jeff Covey says, I'm just trying to get some Pacers content, and this popped up. I don't hate it.
I mean, here's the deal, Jeff. You're a fan. I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of basketball. You think I don't want Indiana to win? I'm telling you how they can win. So, I mean, just for 1 second, view this show as a student of the game and actually learn something about basketball, or give a comment that contradicts what I'm saying, as opposed to just saying, well, you don't know this. No, tell me why I'm wrong. You're not doing that.
No, I mean, I kind of think that when you factor in the experience of Carlisle and the experience in the finals of a player like Siakam, and then you mix in a game 1 right cross where the favorite blows a 20-point lead on their home floor, and it's like, I think that Indiana staggered. If this were a prize fight, Indiana staggered OKC, the champ, with a big right in the first round and dropped them, and they went to the canvas. And it's like, now OKC, with all the class and all the pedigree, is trying to get back up on their feet, right the ship, and win the fight. And it's looking pretty dicey at this point. Now, the odds makers sound like they're still with OKC. I am not. I do not see a steadying influence there. I do not see a championship coach. I don't see a championship player. I don't see a starter that's really has control and command of the room. I think Caruso's a really smart basketball player that plays really winning ball and lends himself to a lot of winning with how he plays. But that doesn't mean that he can elevate a team full of babies, relative babies, and just say, hey, biggest moment, don't whiz down your leg, jump on my back. He's not that kind of player. So I'll take Indiana. I think Halliburton is getting, it seems like, momentum as it goes. Halliburton looks fantastic right now. Now,
Did you just hear that?
He had one game against the Knicks, and I don't know which game it was. Frank, you might remember, but he had one game against the Knicks where I thought, man, Halliburton might be a little bit overrated. He looked bad in the fourth quarter. He looked like it was the game that they were supposed to win. They were big favorites, and they lost to the Knicks. And it's like,
4-5, I guess.
He just was a non-factor in the second half. And I'm like, wait a second, is the moment too big for Halliburton? But really, the last few games, he has answered that question.
By the way, I don't know if you guys heard that. It was very faint, but I just heard the sound of a button pressed. It was a subscribe button by Jeff Covey. So congratulations, Larry. There you go. Just won him over. Good job there. And Tyrese Halliburton, by the way, all kidding aside, dude. I mean, never mind the fact that he hit that game winner in game one. He's special. He's very special. If you're a Kings fan and you're depressed, if you're sitting in a corner of a room in the fetal position with your thumb in your mouth, I don't blame you. You literally you traded away a potential future superstar. A player who has quickly elevated himself into the conversation of the NBA's best players. Halliburton is him, man. And you look at the numbers tonight, it doesn't pop, but when you look at the efficiency of his shooting, 9 of 17 from the field, better than 50%, 4 of 8 shooting from 3, that's literally 50%. That's very good. Side note, 22 points, 11 assists. Dude, it's amazing. I know Siakam won Eastern Conference Finals MVP, and rightfully so. And he had another great game tonight. But dude, Halliburton is very special, man. And this is just
who's the bigger loser? The Warriors for not taking Halliburton for Wiseman, or the Kings for going with Sabonis and trading
the Kings,
Halliburton?
Kings, easily. You had
the Warriors won a title.
Yeah, exactly.
The Warriors got James Wiseman. I mean, I'll take Sabonis over Wiseman every day.
Yeah, the thing is, like, no one expected. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Frank.
No, go ahead. No,
I was just saying, just no one expected Halliburton to be drafted in the top 3 or even top 5. Like it wasn't a decision that at that moment people were screaming at the Warriors, going, "What were you doing?" Like he fell to, what was he, 11th or 13th? I mean, a lot of teams passed on him stupidly. In hindsight, look, hindsight's 50-50, and obviously every team that missed is paying a price of massive regret now. But no, I would say definitely the fact that the Kings had him, and the fact that the Kings thought to themselves, well, Halliburton and Fox can't play together. Seriously? like that is insane. They blew it. And what's up?
I said, that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen before, because he was not like a draft pick by Sacramento. No, he was thriving and playing and showing that he was going to be a future high-level player. To what extent, I can't put my finger on that, but he was clearly a solid, above-average NBA starter, and they traded him because they said they couldn't play with another guy. I'm like, why don't you turn on the Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars tape, the Earl Monroe, Walt Clyde Frazier tape, the Dave Bing, Phil Chenier tape? I mean, there's so many examples. Jerry West, Gail Goodrich. I mean, give me a break. Those guys can't play together. The coach should be fired.
Sacramento's made so many bad calls. Who was the guy that Sacramento had that prevented them from taking Luka? Who do they?
He just said it.
It was De'Aaron Fox, right?
No, was it Fox? No.
No.
Luka came before Fox.
The left-handed forward from Duke that you talked about. The 6'11" kid. Bagley. Yeah.
No, I know they took Bagley, but who was the guard? Remember, they took Bagley because they felt like they didn't want to take the ball out of somebody's hands, because they knew that Luka was an on-ball guy. And I just can't remember who the Kings had, who they didn't want to.
I don't remember who that guy was.
I'm sure someone in the chat will name it. It's just
King fan.
Is he the worst owner in the NBA? Like, is there like, would you rather I'm sorry, I'm muddling how to phrase that, but is he the worst? Is there anyone worse than Vivek?
Well, now that Sterling was forced to sell to Ballmer. Yeah, I mean, Sterling for years and years had that designation as the worst owner. But now, yeah, I mean, who is the worst owner? It might be Vivek. I mean, he's like a cheap knockoff of Joe minus the rings. Michael says Kings had Fox and Halliburton on the roster and no longer have a point guard to show for it. Oh God,
it's crazy. I mean, who in their right mind thinks, hey, let's trade our best assets so we can replicate what the Bulls had? Like, what's going on there, man?
You know what? I got a lot of friends in Sacramento, and I have a lot of people who work that market, so to speak. And I mean, the challenging thing is if you do something that's not logical or intelligent in New York, they barbecue you. They do. They rip you a new one. In Sacramento, and I would be the same. I would have the same mindset. People want to stay employed. So there are real strong relationships between the media and the Kings organization. So, to a certain degree, they go unscathed. There are people like Carmichael Dave who will raise the topic and Jay Ross and folks like that. But he doesn't get barbecued, because those relationships are so incestuous to the point where, people want to keep their jobs. That's the bottom line.
Well, who did barbecue him? There was this guy, Grant Napier. Grant Napier used to barbecue him, right. And then everybody
really.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Grant Napier was the play-by-play guy. He's on the plane with Cousins, and then 3:00 the next day, he's sitting in front of a mic, taking calls from people going, Cousins is a loser, and he's agreeing with them. And then he's sitting next to him on the plane the next night, and you wonder how long that was going to go on. By the way, did you see what league is DeMarcus in right now?
Well, he's no longer in that league. He got banned for a year.
But what happened?
It was a Puerto Rican league.
What was going on there?
That was no NBA tape. That was a current tape.
That was current.
2 days ago.
Wow.
Yes, that was 2 days ago.
Oh my God.
He actually looks like he's in decent shape.
Retired. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Boogie, I thought he said he was done playing basketball. I didn't know Mongolia had a pro basketball league. I learned that today when reading about DeMarcus Cousins, because apparently he once played in a Mongolian professional basketball league. I thought Mongolia, dude. Anyways, Puerto Rico has a professional basketball league. Yes, this was 2 days ago, and he's now banned for the rest of the year and likely will never play again. That's my guess.
Seriously, you know what? Just from my perspective, that was one of the worst things I've ever seen in sports.
What's that?
The actions that DeMarcus took towards the fan. He was upset with a fan, and he made a physical gesture that I just
with grabbing his nuts.
Yeah, you can't do that. I mean, you can't.
I didn't see that. I only saw him like.
And what's real, I think, for what Frank, just to add to that, what made it really disturbingly graphic is basketball shorts can reveal a lot. And so when you're grabbing your junk like that, you can see it all. It was.
I mean, the guy sitting in the front row probably being a jerk, but he paid. And I'm like, dude, you're paying me. You don't bother me.
Wait a second. The power of YouTube. We're going to be able to see this here.
Yes.
And like that. Okay, here it is. Wait, hold on a second. This just gets a little better. Okay.
There's a second clip too after this one, if you could play.
Oh well.
Yeah, that was glitchy. He did the junk grabbing at the very beginning, and then there's a second clip where he's leaving the game, and everyone just starts chucking beers on him, and that's when Cousins lost it. Because the beverages started pouring.
I saw that.
And he just flipped out, man. I don't know how they even held him back, honestly. Yeah,
I thought that was old Kings tape. I did not know that was current.
Oh wait, here it is. Here we go.
I don't blame you for thinking that. It is weird that he's still like playing and doing all this.
Here we go. We got more. We have footage. All right, here it is. Here it is. Who's he playing for? The Vagueros? Here we go.
Something. Yeah, I don't know the name.
DeMarcus Cousins,
he's flexing. He's walking out. Guys are flipping him off. He's flipping birds now. His beer. Oh, my goodness.
Esto pasó a mayores. Desafortunadamente, ahí ven la seguridad de Cousins tratando también, en la medida que sea posible, de detener de alguna manera u otra y los fanáticos.
I agree with the announcers. I felt like the announcers said that perfectly.
There's another angle that's better than that one though, where you can really see like the
I know. I'm gonna see if I can find it.
People
better.
Are chucking that stuff on. I don't blame them at that point for losing it. I mean, if you got an angry mob just throwing drinks at you, do what you got to do. But the first part where you're right, Frank. Like if a fan sitting courtside is heckling you, like you can't respond like that, man. Boogie Cousins played for the Guanabo Mets of the Baloncesto Superior Nacional. That's what they call the Puerto
Rico. They pay good money over there. He might have been making, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much he was making, but he was making some money, man. I mean, at this stage, we all know that somebody who's making a lot of money playing any profession, particularly basketball, it's kind of a joke, right? I mean, it's kind of a dream job that you have. You play a game that you love. That is, I mean, unforgiving at times, but the return that you're getting to play basketball when you can't play in the NBA anymore for a multitude of reasons, I'm not giving that money up, man. Nobody's going to bother me with words. No one can say something to me to upset me that much to the point where I'm not going to go out there and play basketball.
I'll tell you where DeMarcus lost me was when he bowed up on that 58-year-old guy from the Sacramento Bee, Andy Stroud or something like that. Yeah. It was like some B writer wrote some story, and he didn't like the fact that he was talking about DeMarcus. He was talking about DeMarcus and something about it to do with his family and this and that. And this guy, DeMarcus 7 feet. He's like 25 years old, and he's standing over this guy, and he's bowed up over him. He's got like both fists cocked, and you got this media guy who's like 5'8", and he's like cowering down. He's looking over his shoulder. I mean, it was bad. It was. Did you see? I don't know if you ever saw that.
No, I saw that. I know exactly the clip you're talking about.
Yeah,
it reminded me of Larry when you and I went to spring training one year. When KNBR thankfully sent us, and we were in the locker room. I don't remember what you were doing, but I don't know what I was doing either. All I remember is AJ Pierzynski, right? Was that his name? The former catcher? Yeah. Losing just completely lost it. He lost all control of his emotions and just let it rip on this columnist. I can't remember if it might have been Dan Brown is who he was yelling at. It happened.
Baseball players. Yeah, I mean, baseball players sometimes will cross the line. I think
they all will. Yeah,
whatever. But I mean, my first job. Okay, when I was going to Sac State, my first job, I'll never forget this. My dad was. I'm like, I'm about a year away from graduating. My dad's like, you should do. I don't know what I want to do. He's like, do some internships. Slow down, do some internships.
Good advice.
So I did an internship, and I did two of them. I had one working for Grant Napier as his like highlight reel editor.
I didn't know you went that far back with Grant. That's okay.
Yeah, we used to hang out when I was in college, and that was young Grant Napier. I played lacrosse for Sac State. We used to throw the ball around on campus and hang out a little bit. Grant and I had a great friendship back then, and we're still good friends. But he's moved to Miami. No. But what I was going to say is that the other internship I had was I worked for KSAC, which was a sports radio station, and I was the producer of the Bud Ferrillo show, which was a morning show. And Bud Ferrillo had been an L.A. talk show guy for years, and he was bringing like the sports radio genre to Sacramento. I don't know if you remember him, Frank. Bud Ferrillo, older guy, but his son Andy Ferrillo covered the Kings for the Sacramento Bee, and that was the guy that DeMarcus bowed up on. And,
okay,
and it was never. I mean, DeMarcus. I
like how that all tied together, man. Good story.
DeMarcus was not going to hurt anybody. DeMarcus is. I think DeMarcus is not a good dude. I think DeMarcus is a great dude. To be honest, I mean, I know he's gone over the line. I know he's had a number of different issues. He demanded all these T-shirts taken off the the seats because he said it was racist and he was wrong and it was just wrong. But I mean, beyond all that, I still think this guy's heart is in the right place. This guy has taken many examples of, somebody who's gotten killed and he's paid for the funeral for the family. And he sometimes, I know some of the people around, the Sacramento media market, guys like Sean Cunningham, who know the kind of behind the scenes stories of things that DeMarcus has done to show unbelievable generosity without the cameras, without attention. And so to me, there's a lot of people that do things for effect, but when you do things and because your heart is truly in it, I think it shows. And I think he does several acts of generosity, and his heart, because of it, he's got a good heart. So I'm deep down, even though I know like there's all kinds of people with the Warriors who are like good riddance. Like no way would he ever come back. They didn't like him the year he was there. Several people
did that pretty much that he's played for.
And what do I know? I mean, they know, they were around him. But as far as if you said to me, good guy, bad guy, I know most people would say bad guy. I would say good guy.
Well, and I didn't say that as a pushback on what you're saying. I'm just, for whatever reason, every team he's played for. And I don't know if it's because he speaks his mind, which I'm not going to ever judge anyone negatively for that. But when you're playing in a team atmosphere, which is a corporate atmosphere, you do need a filter. You do. It's just, if you're going to make that relationship work long-term, you're part of something much bigger than you. And I think Cousins, his flaw is just an inability to sometimes restrain himself. And this is the position he's in now. But like, I agree with you, Larry. Everything I've heard in terms of non-basketball playing, I've heard he's a great dude. And that's it.
That he's generous. He's generous with people. From what I've been told, even though he comes across at times like entitled, that he really has the whole thing in perspective and that he really does have a big heart and tries to help people. So to me, that goes further than your scowl on the floor and so on, your run-ins with refs or teammates. But, I don't know. Frank, what do you think? What's your perspective on Cousins?
First of all, I don't think that we can't not acknowledge the fact that he's a big black guy. All right. So from a societal perspective, there are a lot of stereotypes about people, particularly black males, that are not true. I'm 6'6", 6'7", 300 pounds. And when I walk around, people go, whoa, look at that, and then they realize that, why did I say that? This is, he's a nice guy. But, I have to get there. You don't have that. I would assume you don't have that same, I have to make people comfortable phase, that I have to at times, not with everybody. And DeMarcus Cousins, I think, because of his inability to sometimes push things to the side and move forward, this is not hyperbole. I think he's probably cost himself anywhere from $50 to $100 million.
Wow, really?
Well, I'm going to say this because he had some injuries, right? But this guy was dominant. He never got like that second big contract after the Kings.
Correct.
But
it was the Achilles, right? I think he blew the Achilles.
Yeah,
and that's what
twice. But even after that healed, he was still a very good player. But no organization would make that level of investment. And that frustrates me because I think that he is a very generous guy, philanthropic, and he gets stereotyped in a way that I don't like you said, Larry. We don't know if it's true or not. We don't know this guy personally, but the perception becomes reality.
Yeah,
and I don't like that. And he's a pretty good broadcaster with Bill and the other kid from Florida. So I want to see him win. This is not something that you win.
Beyond color, Frank. Can me ask you a question, because there's a whole nother thing when you're just talking about size.
Right.
You're a big guy. Do you ever feel like you have to, when you're walking around in life, not lose your composure or not get upset because of your stature that it would, where like somebody who's 5'5" can walk around and they can get real verbal, they can get real uppity, they can get real kind of mad at situations, and it's no big deal. Where if you get mad at a situation, odds are somebody's going to call the cops.
Well, that's my life, and that's a lot of folks' lives.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate that, I've been in a lot of situations from a young age to the point where I've developed a level of discipline that I understand the bigger picture. But the reality is, if I got into an altercation with someone, two things going to happen. I might get shot, I might get stabbed, or somebody's going to go to the hospital. I'm a big guy. And I also know that I have a level of aggression that manifests itself on the court, on the football field. And I understand how to manage those things. Most athletes do very, very well. But on occasion, people go crazy. It doesn't really matter gender either. Sometimes that plays a role in gender. So, yes, Larry, it's an issue. Fortunately for myself, I know how to deal with it to the point where I'm not acting, and I can diffuse things maybe better than some people can. But I'm very aware. If I get arrested, no one's going to bail me out. I don't have family here. It's going to cost me money. I might hurt somebody. I might get hurt.
You can call me, Frank. If you ever go to jail, call me. I will bail you out. You have me for that. Don't worry.
I'm not going to jail.
No, but it really, I'll say this too. I used to work in the Canadian Football League in Sacramento, and several of our players were big physical guys who, were dominant guys. I mean, guys who were either really fast, really strong, or both. And I was shocked over the course of, the season I worked in Sacramento, and I'd go out with some of the fellas for a couple pops. How many guys want to challenge the biggest, baddest guy in the room?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't. First of all, that's just so counterintuitive for me. Be like, when I see the biggest, baddest guy in the room, I'm thinking, give that guy a wide berth. But there are guys that when they see a big, physical, dominant guy, their thought is, I want to drop that guy. I want to talk shit to that guy. I want to get in that guy's face. I don't think he's that tough. Or I want to find out how tough that guy is. It's a crazy mindset, but some of the biggest, baddest, football players that I can remember going having beers with were guys that just randoms tried to start fights with. And I'd be like, dude, that guy tried to start a fight with our defensive tackle who's 310 pounds and fast. And, it's like ridiculous. And some of these guys, and a lot of times they get the liquid courage, and it's like, I know that guy's a pro athlete. I'm going to take him on, or he looks like a pro athlete. I'm going to take him on. And some of these guys don't even care if they get their jaw busted or if they wind up, blood in a bloody pool, on the ground. They don't care. It's like they got nothing better to do on a Friday or Saturday night. It's like, hey, it's like fighting for sport. So you got
a lot of people out there who have nothing to lose, man. And
nothing to lose.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Be careful out there. Keep your head in a swivel, folks. You're absolutely right. Yes.
Someone in the
chat asked, and I think justifiably so, because Larry, if you were born, if you're at a certain age, you're probably hearing Sacramento football and CFL in the same sentence and going, "What the hell is that about?" Once upon a time, the CFL expanded to America for a brief moment there, right?
There was an American expansion of the Canadian League in 1994, and it lasted like 3 or 4 years. And Sacramento had one of the franchises. They played at Hornet Field right there, where the Sac State Hornets play. And I just happened to graduate college right then, and they hired me to be a scout for that team. And then I kind of surfed that to the Arizona Cardinals, and then eventually got out of the scouting and into media, and probably made the right decision.
Yeah, so.
You never know. It's one of those things. I do want to, though, today is the 11th of June, and some people in the chat are like, hey, nobody in Northern California cares about about the finals. And I'm like, well, first of all, I care. Cy cares. Frank cares. And I know there's lots of NBA fans that have listened to us talk this year. There's over 1,000 people in the room, and it's been going up and up and up as we're going on here. So it's not like we're sitting here talking
That's
to
all
ourselves.
you, brother. There's no dual stream tonight.
There's no dual stream. So this is all a bunch of people who have just stopped in and said, hey, you know what? It would have been, James A says it could have been GM Krug. That's right. You could be calling me and saying, fire him, fire Krug. I could be the guy you're running out of town. But I do want to get your guys' thoughts because the Warriors offseason, obviously we've come on a lot this year after Warrior games. Cy does an entire show around all the Warrior games and talks Warriors a lot. And I don't know how many streams you've done in the last couple of weeks since the Warriors have been eliminated, but the draft is coming up at the end of the month.
How dare you? You have not been paying attention to how many shows I've been doing? Damn, I'm out of here, dude. I cannot believe. I expect you to watch every show, to pay attention to every. I'm teasing, obviously.
But the Warriors. I'm a big NBA draft guy. I really am. I know people would be like, "What? Really?" Yeah, I really am. And
you're good at it. Side note, I give you endless tips of the cap, Larry. You are, when it comes to scouting, you're exceptional at this. I'm surprised people aren't giving you money. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Well, I do enjoy it. I do enjoy it. And the Warriors don't have a first round pick. Cooper Flagg is going to be the number one pick. He's going to the Mavericks. I really think the fix is in. I've seen of all the players. And now there's several players that I like and I'd love to get your thoughts on. One of my favorite players in this draft is this guy, VJ Edgecombe from Baylor, who's probably going to go, they say, third to Philadelphia.
Yeah, he's top
Just
5, yeah. Easy.
Awesome athlete. I mean, one of the most amazing athletes. But there's other guys. I love this kid, Nolan Traore from France. He's a point guard who's super electric fast. I love Derek Queen, the big man from Maryland, who's just very, very skilled. But all these guys are going way in front of Golden State. Golden State picks 41 in the second round. And that the beauty of the draft in 2025 is that it's very much a speculative draft. And a lot of times, there's always been value in the second round, going back to Mo Cheeks and Gilbert Arenas and Monte Ellis, Draymond Green. I mean, they're Cliff Robinson. I mean, going way, way back. There's been the Warriors themselves have probably benefited as much as almost anybody. Gilbert Arenas. I mean, the Hibachi was awesome in the second round.
Whatever his name is. I mean, a legend.
Smiley Geach. There you go. Jacob Evans. No, actually, Jacob Evans was the first round. But anyway, the Warriors have the 41st pick. And I'm looking at some guys in the second round that I really kind of like. And I would love it if you guys have thoughts on any of these guys. The first guy I really like is this 7'1" center from Penn State named Yannick Conan Niederhauser.
Okay.
And he's a Switzerland center, and he is a freaking athlete. A lot of comparisons to Jackson Hayes, a lot of comparisons to Daniel Gafford. He's a late bloomer. He's from Switzerland. He's got elite length. He's a rim runner. He's a shot blocker. 6'11", barefoot, 7'3", or 7'3" wingspan, 9'3" standing reach. Real big center. And he's raw, but he's got athleticism. Average 2.3 blocks per game. He's a shot blocker, dunker. He kind of has the body of a Chris Washburn for some of you older guys who remember Chris Washburn, NC State in the mid-'80s, 86 draft. He's got a Chris Washburn type body, which that in and of itself makes you go, whoa. Really? Yannick Conan Niederhauser. Have either of you guys seen this guy from Penn State? Because he is a load. He's going to be a second rounder. The Warriors, I think, finally have come to the realization that they need size. This kid's projected to go 34. They pick 41. So he may not be there, but man, this is one of my favorite big men in the draft. Frank, have you seen Yannick Conan Niederhauser?
Have not, but you talked about him like a couple of months ago. You actually mentioned him, and I mean, I think what I like is the Warriors are leaning into the rest of the NBA, saying that, you know what, small ball can be used within the game, but as our primary attack, that's done. We need to get bigger. Generally speaking, big guys take longer to develop. Even the Joker kind of worked himself around in Denver for about 2 or 3 years before he became the quote Joker. So if they draft a big guy, I think that's a good sign, but I anticipate that player taking some time to develop. I think they'll probably, which is why I'm looking at like Proctor from Duke, 6'5" combo guard.
Like him a lot. Drake Proctor.
Who probably hasn't played as well as they thought he would, but I think he has potential. And his teammate, the kid Zion Jones, that they got from Tulane, who transferred in, 6'5", 6'6", combo point, 2 guard. Those guys are going to play right away. And I think the Warriors are going to be very active in the free agent market for a guy like Brook Lopez. So when you consider Brook Lopez, you got TJD, you have Looney. They're going to have a serviceable trio.
Well, they don't have Looney right now, but they do have Quentin Post.
Yeah, well, they got Quentin Post, they got TJD, and I think they're going to probably get Brook Lopez, unless the Lakers snatch him. Because
supposedly the Lakers and the Warriors are going to battle for Brook Lopez.
Yeah.
The other intriguing, there's more than one, but the guy that I really love, and if I don't know how they're going to get him. Let's see, NBADraft.net has him going.
And if you have any salary cap questions, I am your man.
We're gonna have a couple questions on that front.
Yeah, I spent a long time studying this thing, and I think I finally got a grasp. So if you have any questions, I'm your man.
The other guy that I just think is the guy that I would try to angle for if I was Golden State. And I'm not a Stanford guy. I'm not. It's not like I didn't go to Stanford. I don't have family who went to Stanford. I don't typically go like the Stanford player necessarily. But the Stanford center this year, Maxime Reynaud from France, is a lot like Quentin Post, man. I mean, this guy, but he's way more athletic and he's way more fluid. And he's got way
41 though, will he? Is that possible?
I would say it's not possible. Okay. I would say it's not possible. Now,
I coached him in the pro-am.
You coached him?
I did.
Tell us about Reynaud. I mean, Frank, we're talking about a guy with 7'1", 240, but very athletic, a very, very nice outside shot, but explosive ability to create. He can finish at the rim. I mean, this is not a guy who's barely 7 feet either. This guy's 7'1" and change and big and fast and a great shot. What did you think of Reynaud?
Well, I coached him when he was raw, like his second year at Stanford. He might have played 2 years in the pro-am, and he has an appetite to score. I mean, he's a really talented offensive player. As you said, he has a perimeter shot. He has pretty good footwork. He has a jump hook. He makes a lot of mistakes defensively because I think that he's still learning the physicality of the American game. But he's a guy, if you're going to take a flyer on someone, I mean, as he develops his game, builds his confidence in the G League, he could be a real player. He really could. So a lot of teams are interested and excited about him. If he dropped to 41, of course, I would snatch him in a second. The other guy that I mentioned that I love, but I think he's played himself into the first round, is the kid David Wolf out of Yale.
Danny Wolf from Michigan.
I love his game. Love this.
Oh, he's like a guard. He has true guard skills.
He really does
in a big man body.
Yes. So Maxine is talented. You got him down, Larry. He is pretty athletic. He can score in the air. It wouldn't surprise me if he has a solid NBA career, but he's going to have to fall in love with the physical part of the NBA game, because soft guys, big guys who are soft in the NBA don't make it. They just don't.
No,
they don't make it. So
So I kind of like, to me, I kind of like him a little bit. That's a guy that I'd want to angle for. But the more I watched all these guys, the Georgetown center, Thomas Sorber, who's 6'10", 265 pounds, but he's got 7'6" reach. And when you look at this guy, they compared him to Roy Hibbert or Vin Baker, but we're talking about a guy who averaged 14, 8, and 2 as a freshman at Georgetown. Very productive first year in the Big East. And, shot 72% from the foul line as a freshman, which is a good number, right? That tells you that he's got some ability to shoot. But to me, when you've got a wingspan over 7 feet and he's got an interior scoring touch, broad shoulders, Sorber, I like. I definitely like. That to me, he's from Trenton, New Jersey. I like him. That's a player I really, really like. The other guy that really jumps out is there's a guy from France, and France, produces some players.
Yes, it is. Yes, they do.
France. There's a guy. His name's Joan Berenger, and they have him going 19 to Brooklyn. He's 6'10", 230. But, man, you're talking about an athlete that is just super crazy athletic and raw, but like he's the kind of guy that 2 years from now he might be one of the best players in this draft. Really, really intriguing. In fact, maybe I'll share the screen on this. Here we go. Here he is. You can watch him yourself. Tell me what you guys think of Joan Berenger. This is from NBADraft.net. This is his highlight reel. Here he is, the big man. As you can tell, he's kind of raw, but the length is off the charts. And if you watch this guy and some of the other highlights I've seen, it's like
any of these guys you guys are mentioning, are they shooters? Are they stretch bigs, or are they more traditional bigs, or both?
Well, I think Berenger might be more of a traditional big. Maxime Reynaud he's a shooting big. I also kind of like Derek Queen from Maryland. I think he's a tremendous player. That's really, really interesting. He's kind of out of shape, but tremendous talent. It's funny. Carl Foster was talking up Igor Demin from BYU, who's like a 6'10" point guard.
I like him too. Really good.
He's interesting. I'll tell you, from watching the tournament, the guy that I'd have interest in, who I think is really beneath the radar, is Elijah Martin, the guard for Florida, who just was on. He's such a winner. Everywhere the guy's been has the teams win, and he's like a 6'3" combo guard. Kind of think of like a Randy Brown. You know what I mean? He's like a super on the ball defender, who's also just a ridiculous dunker and athlete with great length. The other guy I'm interested in seeing if the Warriors go after is Hansen Yang from China. I don't know if you've seen Yang, but that's how do you pass up on a player like that? That's a marketing opportunity. Hansen Yang, I don't know how much you guys have he's
7'2". He what I have in front of me is he turns 20 the day of the draft. 7'2", man. Shit. It's like,
but athletic and coordinated. This would be, this is a guy who, I don't know what he would do for you, but as far as he would give you size, but this is also a player that I might want to have just for the marketing purposes. On my bench, 7'2", 255 pound player from China, who looks like he's got a serious game.
Yeah.
So, but the other guy that I really do like quite a bit is Mark Sears from Alabama. And to me, Alabama, I watched Alabama quite a few times this year. Alabama's got two players that interest me. One is Mark Sears. The other is Grant Nelson. Nelson is a big guy who can shoot the heck out of the ball, and he's really, really competitive. And then you've got Sears, who's probably kind of reminds me a little bit of like who's the Knicks point guard?
Jalen
Brunson?
Reminds me a little bit of Jalen Brunson. Now, Jalen Brunson's 6'1". This guy's more like 5'11". But Mark
Stocky,
Sears,
he can bump you and body
Mark
you.
Sears shot the heck out of the ball in Chicago at the combine, and they had this drill where they were moving, and like it was like shooting threes on the move, and he like made like 83%. It was the best of anybody at the entire combine.
Damn.
I think people are sleeping on Sears. Every game that I watch to that guy, he's like one of the best players on the floor. And I know he's small, Frank. I know he's small, Cy, but I would love to see Golden State get another, scorer that, and
They
picking
need
in
it.
the second round. It's hard to find a scorer, but Mark Sears is probably going to be on the board when they pick at 41, and I'd take him. I mean, how turned off are you by a 6 foot tall NBA player? Is that too short? Is 6 feet too short?
A second round pick. I mean, look, if he's as talented as you say he is, sign me up, man. I mean, look, the Warriors need scoring. I had someone send me a DM recently, and it was an awesome DM. And sorry to look at my phone to read you this, but the stats are astounding in terms of the Warriors and how much they declined offensively. This was courtesy of Raymond Threw, who's a Golden Dazer. The Warriors, for example, their 3-point shooting fell from 38% to 36.4% on a year-by-year basis. Points per game fell from 117.8 to 113.8. Their shooting actually went down when Jimmy Butler came. And you look at the raw data on 3-point shooting individually, every player, except for Moses Moody, their 3-point shooting went down. Point is, with the 41st pick, if you're going to tell me that a guy is small but can score buckets, mental toughness is always something that's very important to me as well. Sign me up, brother. I'm in. I
think the Warriors would definitely have a chance to draft him. There's a chance he might not even get drafted.
Right.
For a lot of the things you're talking about, small guards generally don't have successful careers in the NBA, but there are exceptions. And this guy has had a phenomenal career at Alabama, and he can shoot. Most small guys that are good, they want to get to the cup and they want to kind of use their Allen Iverson package. Good luck with that. I mean, shooting never goes out of style.
Correct.
So if you can shoot the ball, you'll find a way. You'll find a way to contribute to a winner. So,
and don't forget about the great Chris Chiozza, a two-way player on the Warriors title team. I think he stands 5'11", maybe 6 feet. He was on the Florida team that won a championship. And look, I know he was a two-way player, and people, he didn't get much credit. And
he won a ring, didn't he?
What's up?
He won a ring, didn't he?
He won a ring in college, and he won a ring in the pros.
Wow.
Dude's a champion, and it was a 1-year experiment. I thought it was awesome, man. So if it's another Chris Chiozza, sign me up.
Do you guys remember Carson Edwards?
No.
Yes.
He was a point guard. He was a point guard who was a flat-out scorer, kind of like a Mark Sears.
Yes.
I mean, and I bring up him because I think of him when I think of Mark Sears. He's now playing for Bayern Munich.
Mm-hmm.
He plays shooting guard, point guard. He played with the Celtics for a while. Yeah. He was Pistons, Celtics, G League. Now he's playing in Germany. I bring him up because in college, this guy was a major scorer. March 23rd of his final year in college in the NCAA tournament, Carson Edwards went for 42. And they blew out Villanova. At Purdue blew out Villanova. Anyway, I just bring this guy up because he was like a 6 foot tall, offensive base point guard, and he didn't quite make it in the NBA, but as you see, he's still playing professionally, playing at a pretty high level. All right, I want to talk. You mentioned the cap. Let's talk Kuminga for a second. So, I've heard a lot about Kuminga and their situation. I've read a ton of articles. Tell me if I'm right or wrong on this.
All right.
From what I've been told, that if the Warriors are going to do a sign and trade for Kuminga, and he's going to make, let's just say, $25 million a year, that if they do a sign and trade for him, that they have to take back half the salary in return.
They have to take so they have to take back half if they don't want to trigger the first apron hard tax, meaning
right, which is prohibitive and punitive.
Yeah, exactly. If they take back a penny over half of what Kuminga gets, they can do it. But now you're restricted to 197 million approximately on the season. You can't spend a penny over that. So that's why you'd be hard. That's the issue with trading Kuminga is that first apron hard cap.
And it's hard to make it all work. Okay, so I think I've got an idea that works. You say, what do you think Kuminga's? Whoever's going to sign him, what do you think he's going to make?
Here's
my guess is $25 million a year. That would be my guess.
My prediction is
more.
No. My prediction is the Warriors and Kuminga's camp are having very hard negotiations, very difficult conversations right now because the way the Warriors are set up, they can't really give Kuminga more than 25 this year. Like if they do, I don't know how they can afford to give anyone else anything. And look, I love Kuminga clearly. Like I want him to stay, but even I have my limits and I try to be pragmatic about things. And look, Kuminga cannot put the Warriors in a situation where it's either Kuminga and forget anyone else, or Kuminga makes a small sacrifice in year one. And and probably they make that up by increasing the value of his contract in later years. But ultimately it comes down to this. The Warriors are at 170 million right now. Let's say hypothetically you give Kuminga 25 million a year. Now you're at 195 million for a 10-man roster, and you got to fill 4 more seats, right? And all you have at your disposal to spend at that point is either veteran minimums, or you can use the second of the 2 mid-level exceptions, which gives them about 5.6 million to spend. And if they do that, then you're hard capped at the second apron, which is going to be approximately $207 million. So that's what's likely going to happen. They're going to tell Kuminga, look, we can't give you the 35 million you want. And this is where Brooklyn could come in and completely screw the Warriors over. And I'm kind of anticipating that in all honesty. All they have to do is offer Kuminga a max, and the Warriors could potentially just lose him for nothing. That's a horrific situation that I hope it doesn't come to. But this is where they're at. It's 25 million, and then you're going to have about 14 million left to spend on veterans and whatnot, if that made sense.
So to me, what I see is that it sounds like Joe likes him and probably would like to keep him, but I think they're gonna explore all of their options. I think it's safe to say that that's probably
both sides are, yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm reading is that the Chicago Bulls are trying to re-sign Josh Giddey, and if they sign Giddey, there are questions about the Bulls maybe moving off of Kobe White. And I bring up Kobe White because Kobe White makes like 12.5. And so if you could do a sign and trade and sign a maybe 3-year $75 million deal, send him to Chicago, they take on $25 million, they throw you back Kobe White and a draft pick. I think that would be a deal that I would make. Why? Because
you would do that.
I would do that. And I would even do that if I had to trade other assets with Kuminga to get the Bulls' first-round pick, because I wouldn't want that first-round pick. I'm willing to trade Kuminga and other assets, including future picks, to the Bulls for Kobe White, who I really think would give the Warriors, it would give them a small backcourt, but it would give them a scorer and somebody who could really take pressure off of Steph Curry. And I think Kobe White could be fantastic. And then with that 12th pick, I want to go get a big man. I want to either, a Maxime Reynaud, Derek
you're
Queen.
First round pick in this year's draft. Okay. All right.
I would take Kobe White, Kuminga and whatever to the Bulls for Kobe White in the 12th pick.
Okay.
And then with the 12th pick, I'd like to take Derek Queen if he's there. If he's not there, I would consider the Duke big guy who's 7'2".
Larry,
I like Thomas Sorber. I like that kid Behringer I just told you about. I like Drake Powell, who Frank threw out there, and I like Maxime Reynaud. And I would even trade down a little bit from 12 and see if I could maybe get those 2 picks with Brooklyn, who's got 3 in the late first. and see if I could get Raynaud and come back with like a Mark Sears. I just think that if you could add Kobe, you take away Kuminga, you add Kobe White, Mark Sears, Maxime Raynaud, and maybe a veteran big. I'm thinking Larry Nance Jr., somebody who shot like 47% from beyond the arc this year. A really, really, right now kind of a move in free agency. And I'd feel very good about the offseason if they could come away with Raynaud, Sears, Kobe White, and Larry Nance Jr. I'll take that and take my chances with how far they can run it next year. What do you guys think?
What about the idea of getting Kobe White but not trading Kuminga to get him?
Well, I've seen that as well, Cy. That's funny you said that because I just saw another rumor that had Moses Moody in a deal for Kobe White. To me, that seemed like a pipe dream. But you're saying that's possible?
Well, the Warriors would have to entice the Bulls, and you'd probably have to give up a draft pick. But I'd do it. I mean, if you can have Kuminga and Kobe White, sign me up. I mean, because I think the goal here is to not sacrifice the future while still competing and contending this year. And you'd answer both those issues in one swift move. So that's what I do. Me personally, you could get more for Kuminga than Kobe White. That's my response to that.
That's interesting. But I mean, Kobe White though is a scorer where I think he's, I agree that Kuminga, I think it's a fair trade, but I can understand why Chicago would do it. And I can understand why people would think that you could get more for Kuminga than just Kobe White. Frank, what do you think of that trade? Kobe White in the 12th pick for Kuminga, and then you try to maybe get the Stanford big man or Sorber or one of these bigs that maybe is intriguing there at 12.
I would do it for like a lot of non-basketball reasons. I mean, people don't look at professional basketball and think about the business ramifications, but they exist. I mean, people I listen to several Chicago Bulls podcasts, and there is an idea that maybe Kobe has not started to descend, but maybe he's played his best basketball because he's thinking that, I'm going to make 20 to 25 million after this year's contract, after this year is over. And I don't know if the Bulls really want to do that. So I think that they're looking at his current value versus what they can get back as well. Emotionally, the Warriors have to let Kuminga go to make something happen because there's a chance that Jonathan Kuminga could become a star. Mm-hmm. And people will look at the words and say, what the hell were you doing? But if he stays here, it gets complicated because in his 5th-year contract, you guys are talking about $25 million. That 5th-year salary has to be down to $20 million, right, Si?
And for Kuminga?
Yeah, year 5.
Why would year 5 have to be lower? I don't understand.
No, it's higher. I mean, what is the salary for year 5? It's at least around $20 million. I'm going to assume.
Oh, it would be probably much higher. My guess is Kuminga year 1 would get 25, and then you'd see it escalate. So by year 5, it'd probably be whatever the max is that he can get.
Yeah. So that's my thing. The Warriors he would be willing to take $25 million, I believe, if the contract numbers at the end was to his organization.
That's what I've been saying too. Yeah, that's
i.e. $150, $165 million. No one's going to turn that money down. The reality is the Warriors are not sure because that changes how they have to coach him at that point. Go ahead, Si. You know this better than I do.
Well, no, I don't. Look, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is, in this regard, is the Warriors are going to let Kuminga go without getting value back. Like they're not morons, right? So when they say like Kobe White, for example, might have played his best basketball last season. Like, I don't know if he's going to progress more. You also have to keep in mind that Kobe White plays for the Chicago Bulls, who are an awful team in the Eastern Conference, and Kobe White couldn't do shit for him. So look, he could be a great role player, I think, for a really good team. But when you're talking about trading Kuminga, that's what's got to factor in here. Bill M in the chat, he didn't have to be a total asshole in his commentary, but he's right about one thing, and I want to piggyback off that, which is that the Chicago Bulls have never spent a penny of luxury tax money.
Right.
So that's another thing you have to keep in mind too when we talk about these hypotheticals with the Bulls. If you're talking about trading Kuminga and getting Kobe White at half value, does that put the Bulls in the luxury tax? And if the answer is yes, they're not going to do it. Like their owner is so cheap, it's shameful, man. Like the Bull, we talked about
Reinsdorf. Talking about Reinsdorf,
yeah, Reinsdorf, who has just been milking Michael Jordan for like 35 years now, and it was in the dynasty of the 90s. Like he's an awful owner. He does not spend money. He's perfectly content with mediocrity, and so you have to factor that in as well. But going back to the Kuminga thing, I think ultimately there just aren't a lot of options. Like that's the problem here. I think in a perfect world, you're right, Frank. Kuminga would probably like a fresh start somewhere else. The Warriors would probably like to get someone that Kerr likes, right? But the options are so few. And
throw a few of them out. What are the options? I mean, I've heard people suggest Keegan Murray in a head-to-head trade in Sacramento. I would do that. Even though Kuminga, I think is a better athlete. I think Keegan might be a better fit. I would do that trade.
I mean, Keegan took a step back last year. I don't even know how much value Keegan Murray has right now. I mean, his stock was skyrocketing until last year, and then he just kind of like plateaued in terms of development. Like the guy I'm looking at would be someone like Jaylen Brown, for example. Like the Boston Celtics to me, and I know that the names of the Celtics that keep getting tossed out there are Derek White and Drew Holiday, but the Celtics, like they might be in a position where they decide to tank next year and kind of start this thing over with Jason Tatum, because he's not going to play it all next season, right? If he does, it'll be the end of the year. The Celtics are not competing for a championship. Their Jaylen Brown is scheduled to make like 50, 60 million. I don't know if he's available, but if he is, that's the type of guy I would personally like for them to pursue.
Jaylen Brown has a relationship with Steph Curry.
He loves the Bay Area. He played at Cal.
Jaylen Brown went to Cal.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah.
Frank, did you meet Jaylen Brown when Jaylen Brown was here playing for Cal at all?
I covered one of his games actually for KPFA '94. I just arbitrarily I went to a couple of Cal games, and I asked Jaylen a couple of questions, but that's as close as I got. I mean, he's a sharp guy. He's a very, very dependable professional player.
That's an interesting idea. Yeah, for sure.
That's what I would aspire for. Like, if you're going to trade Kuminga, like Kuminga's value right now is probably as high as it's going to get outside of him even, turning into a star and whatnot. Shoot for the stars, dude. Like aim high. If you're going to trade this guy, fleece the other team. Don't let it be a reverse situation. Like, I don't hate Keegan Murray. I just think you can get a hell of a lot more.
Can I share the screen on this? Yeah. Look at this tell me what you think of this.
Jump in wherever I can jump in at.
You said, oh shoot, I thought Jam walked right by you.
How you?
I'm good.
Nice to meet you too. Big fan, brother. Thank you.
What brings you out here?
I went to school out here, so I'm just here celebrating the community, trying to jump in wherever I can jump in at.
You said you was gonna show up.
Yeah, of course.
So that was Jaylen Brown crashing Mr. Beast and Steph Curry's commercial.
How recent was that?
I think that's pretty recent, right?
I think it's pretty recent.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown spends his summers here, like you said, Larry. He played at Cal. It would be such a good fit.
Yeah, this guy says Jaylen Brown pulled up to watch Steph Curry at the Mr. Beast video shoot. Future teammates soon. It is interesting. I mean, Steph's like, you said you were going to show up. I mean, is it possible that that Jaylen Brown maybe? I'll say this. I mean, I'm from here, so I'm biased, right? I like it here. I think Northern California's a great climate. It's a progressive place to live. I've been around the country. I think the conditions here, it's California, it's expensive and all that. Fires, we all know that. But as far as culturally And I just feel like I'm in 2025 when I'm in California.
Yeah.
When I'm in other parts of the country, sometimes I feel like I'm in 1985 or 1990 or, you know what I mean? It doesn't quite feel as cutting edge. I just bring this up because if you went to school here, okay, if you're from here, whatever, okay, but if you went to school here like he did and you experienced 4 years of Northern California and how chill everybody is and how unintrusive the weather is and how close LA is and how close the mountains are, and and then you got to go to Boston, which is just a absolute melting pot of fan emotion. I mean, it is probably one of the most emotional, right there with New York. I mean, it's right there. I mean, the fans are incredibly into it. But it's exhausting, I would imagine, after a while if you're one of the athletes. It's like it would be like it's like if all, so I mean, I just think that if you lived here for 4 years and then starred in Boston and all those winners, I don't know, man. I could see where you would be like, hey, man, if I played in the Bay Area for Steph, like KD didn't want to be like the Robin to Steph's Batman. But a guy like Jaylen Brown might be like, hey, that might be real attractive to him. And he may yearn. I'll say this. If I lived in the Bay Area and then I went and lived in Boston, after about 5 or 6 years, I'd probably yearn for the Bay Area.
I mean,
it's unfortunately out of his control. It would be the Celtics who would have to.
No, totally. But I mean, you know the way NBA works. I mean, the players all have a much bigger say in where they go and if they go. And if you really, really, really want out, you can influence your situation. You can't necessarily call your shots, but Frank, what do you think? I mean, you're a New Yorker who spent time here. So you can kind of see the allure of the West Coast and the simplicity compared to maybe some of the cold and back east. How do you think Jaylen Brown to the Warriors? How does that sound to you?
Sounds great. If I'm a rich person, the Bay Area is one of the best places to live on earth. All right. And he's not only rich. I mean, this guy is very aware. I mean, he's an intellect, man. I mean, This guy does speeches at Harvard, so he's really about education by all accounts. He had a great time at Cal. So, and the thing about Jaylen Brown that I like, and it's interesting, we're talking about DeMarcus, he gets the big picture. He gets the corporate part of professional sports. And I think that the Warriors organization would love that piece also, because he's somebody who Warrior fans, even moving forward, they love that. They want their athletes to be very intelligent, very aware, very community oriented, and somebody that they would like to have a conversation with beyond watching play basketball. So from Boston's perspective, because of the economics, they're going to have to do some things that don't feel exactly right because they want to sustain their organization. So a Jaylen Brown to the Bay Area for a young, talented guy like a Jonathan Kuminga, making it work with other parts if you have to, actually makes a lot of sense, Larry. It does.
Well, and if you think about it from the Celtics perspective, like you're hypothetically mailing in a year, you're playing for a draft pick again. You're kind of like where the Warriors were when Stephen Curry got hurt in 2019-20, where you basically, it's just you're burned out. It's time to just hit a pause, and you also get a really nice draft pick, and hopefully you don't blow it like the Warriors did with Wiseman. Look at Dan, Coach Emilio in the house, by the way. Look at this.
Hey, Dan, how you doing?
Dank says Coach Dan checking in. Jacob Gordon says, Danny. Dan, good to see you. I as Frank was talking there, I was thinking of all kinds of creative intros. I was going to say, hey, look, our landlord showed up, and now we got the party's over. All right.
Cut.
Dan's coming to take our beer. No. Danny, good to see you. And Danny, of course, jumping over from NorCal Sports Network. And the Giants were winners tonight in Denver. The Giants have found a team that they can just toy with, and it's the Colorado Rockies. Tonight, Giants were down in this thing and scored 4 in the 8th and 3 in the 9th to win in Denver, coming from behind for the second straight night. 10-7 gyros. Danny, Willie Adames, a couple days on the bench really served him well, huh?
It did. And, the Giants lost Matt Chapman. And
Yeah, I didn't see that story. So what happened there? Chapman's done for a month? More than that?
Possibly. It's close to the break, it sounds like. He says he's hoping to come back before the break, but sees a hand specialist on Friday in LA. He's got sprained ligaments in his hand, his throwing hand. Jammed it, getting picked off the other day on Sunday. And I don't know if you saw much of the game. I had both games going on, the basketball and the Warriors, but well,
it's funny, Danny, the night before, I don't know if you caught this, but the night before, a guy sent me a tweet in like the 8th inning saying, Giants blow it again. Giants blow it again.
Yeah.
And David C., embarrassing loss by the Giants tonight in Denver. And then all of a sudden I flip on the game and I'm like, wait a second. It shows it's the 9th inning. Maybe I'm behind. And I'm like, no, it's live. This guy's tweeting that they lost and they're up 6-5.
Yeah,
I'm like,
they were down 5-2. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I'm like, you were saying, and then of course everybody roasted this guy.
Oh yeah. But it's kind of ironic. I had a conversation Saturday with Casey Schmitt, who's taken over with at third base. Finally got a shot at third base, and I was talking to him and was just working out something to come on the show, and he says, right now I'm just focused on the game, and I'll join you guys later on. But I say, hey, look, I don't blame you. I told him, focus on your game. In fact, the exact words I told him was, focus on your game. I got a good feeling something's going to turn for you soon. And he said, thanks. Me too. And next day, Chapman gets hurt, and he gets to actually play the position that he's been groomed to play all his life in the big leagues. And I don't know.
You curse Chapman?
Well, I didn't mean to do that, but did
you put the hex on Chapman?
Yeah. Man, but Casey basically helped him win the game tonight. He got 2 hits. He made an incredible Brooks Robinson, Matt Chapman-like play at third base. I don't know if you saw it tonight, but it was unbelievable. Went behind the bag, foul territory, just
really
turned.
That is a Brooks Robinson,
and threw the guy out by 25 feet. It was such a good throw. He got it out of his glove before he even had it. It's just all in one motion. Boom, boom, throws the ball without looking. Perfect strike. And the guy's out by 20 feet. And then he got on with a key walk in the 9th inning, got to third base on a double from Yaz off the wall, tied the game 6-6. Fitzgerald lays down a bunt, and Casey comes flying in and slides head first, tries to move his body away from it, gets his hand in there. They call him out, and Casey gets up and goes right away like, I'm safe. And he looks safe, and they reviewed it. He was safe, and that was the winning run. So pretty cool. Pretty cool to see him get a chance to do it.
Was he interviewed in the postgame?
No, because they went straight to the studio. But maybe
would he have mentioned you?
I think top of the list.
Shout out, Laura Britt here. We've got Casey Schmitt. Casey, what was the key today? You know what, Laura? It was Dan Coachemilio and NorCal Sports Network that put the hex on Chapman, which made him go down. And now, thanks to that hex, I am in the driver's seat. Could you imagine the reaction that your channel would get? I mean, you'd have all kinds of new subs, but there'd be death threats too.
Yeah.
Lots of death threats.
Yeah,
Dan Coachemilio.
All these people pissed off at me from Chapman fans, and then Logan Webb mad at me because I've been telling them that they should trade him.
We were talking some hoop when you walked in, and I was going to show the guys this. Dalton Johnson says these 3 players will be part of the Warriors pre-draft workout tomorrow, and I think this was just today. So Johnny Broom, Kobe Sanders from Nevada, Cam Jones. Cam Jones is a good player from Marquette. I mean, really good two-way guard. I mean, that's a nice player. Johnny Broom is really
Larry, how
What
do
do
you
you
know
think
Cam Jones is good? Like, are you watching college hoops constantly?
No, no.
I watch him.
I don't even like college hoops. I rarely watch college hoops. I watch the tournament, and then I go one by one, and I start watching all these players. I do a lot of YouTube. I've watched a lot of 2-round mock drafts where people are talking about these guys and highlights.
Impressive.
And actually one of the mock drafts that I saw online had the Warriors at 41 taking Cam Jones and saying that he would be a perfect fit for their system. He's a very polished two-way two-guard for Marquette. But I wanted to ask you guys about Broom, because Broom is deficient athletically. I mean, he's kind of like a Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
He doesn't, he can't jump the phone book. You know what I mean? And it's like he's got 29-inch vertical. He showed up at the combine. He was terrible at the testing. But, man, if you watched Auburn, they were the best team in college basketball, and this guy was their guy. And in some ways, he kind of reminds me of like a college basketball version of Tim Duncan. I mean, he's like really, really polished and smooth. Frank, what do you think of Broom as their second-round pick? I know he's ground bound, but he's a beneath the rim player. He's not an above the rim player, but he is one of the best rebounders in the entire country. And man, that would be a nice pick. Broom on the Warriors at 41 would be nice.
He's going to make a lot of scouts look stupid because he has functional skills. Most of the time, when you evaluate players, you look at a player and say, you know what? That player has talent. But they don't compartmentalize and say, well, what does that talent look like? When I evaluate players, I look at, well, what can they do? He already is a NBA level defensive rebounder. Already. He already has a patented shot. He has a jump hook.
He was the SEC Player of the Year. I mean, it's not like we're talking about some bum.
And he has legitimate range from 22, 23, 24 feet when he's open, so he can play on the perimeter. The challenge is he's not fast. So against really athletic bigs, he's going to have a challenge transitioning from offense to defense, and doesn't do a whole lot in the air, as you said. So he's not going to block a lot of shots. But he's legitimate 6'10". He's a pretty smart defender. He's a guy who could play 10, 12, 13 minutes young in his career as early as next year and be a very productive player because he's not going to be afraid. He has an NBA body already. So at 41, Larry, he's going to make a lot of people look good.
Very underrated passer, 1.82 assist to turnover ratio on high usage.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy hits cutters, lobs. To me,
Draymond would like him.
Yeah, I mean, and he would fit. He would really fit with Draymond. The Warriors got to find some size, and Broom is very, very skilled. I do want to show he had. Let's see. I think he had. He barely had any vertical at all. Here it is. Here's his vert.
That's not a good sign.
No, it's not a good sign. But this is why this guy might be there at 41. Here he is. And that's not.
George Costanza with the shoes.
It was 29-inch vertical.
Oh my God, looks like me.
29-inch vertical.
Seinfeld, where George Costanza's trying to sell those special shoes that Jimmy had.
29.4. I will say this though, the Knicks have a big man named Jericho Sims who has 46-inch vert, and he's 6'10". And if you ever see him in the layup line, he literally hits his head on the rim.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen somebody 6'10" with a 46-inch vert. This guy's just got bounce that's off the charts. All right, we've been going for an hour and 48 minutes. Why don't we head around the room and we'll go final thoughts. Give me your final. I'd love a prediction on how this series is going to end. On the Warriors, or a prediction on the Giants, or a prediction on the Niners on the way out. We'll go around the room. Danny, we'll start with you. You were the last one in. You can. We won't defer to anybody. We'll let you go first.
All right. So what are we predicting on the series?
Well, yeah. Give me your quick thought on a prediction on the finals, and then maybe either a thought on the Giants, the Niners, or the Warriors. I mean, we're kind of in transaction mode for all three teams. The Warriors have a big summer coming up. Kuminga stays, goes.
Larry, the NBA this summer is going to be wild, man. Like, we didn't even touch on the fact that Kevin Durant is going to get traded soon, and that's going to be where the snowball starts to cascade. When Durant gets moved, I think you're going to start seeing a lot of other moves happen. Were you guys surprised, by the way? I'm sorry to bring this up now. I hope it's okay. But were you guys surprised to learn that the KD to Warriors trade was very real and almost happened and would have happened if Durant was interested? Like, that was like, I love Draymond Green for how candid he is. Like we know about what happens behind the scenes with the Warriors largely because of him, and I can't thank Draymond Green enough for that. His authenticity is fantastic, and he revealed that on a recent show that this was a thing that would have happened if not for Durant himself coming out saying I don't want to go there, which is a whole other story too. But yeah,
I mean, it just kind of it just shows how Joe is making all the decisions.
Well,
that's Joe. That's a Joe call. I mean, there's no question. And I'm glad that Durant said no.
Me too.
Because it was going to be for Kuminga, right?
It would have been Kuminga and other pieces, yeah. And like I said, Durant is Lacob's white whale, dude. Like Lacob loves Kevin Durant. I don't know if you guys saw that clip of Lacob and Kuminga at that the Valkyries franchise opener. Like, they were like chummy and like, wrestling around. They were just having fun together. And you could tell Lacob likes Kuminga. I think that he made it very obvious there. But he likes Durant more. I just couldn't believe it was like that close to really happening. I didn't think it was as plausible as it apparently was. It shocked me.
I thought that was interesting at that game because you saw Kuminga there with Joe, but did you see who else was there on the court?
There were a lot of people there. Who
Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers.
You know why Doc was there, though, right?
I'm not sure why.
Well, Natalie Nicase, the head coach of the Valkyries, was his assistant with the Clippers.
So that was interesting as he came up and dapped Kuminga like maybe there's something there in the works.
Like Giannis, Milwaukee.
yeah.
I would not hate that.
A few other pieces, obviously, but well, my take on this finals is, I just want to see a good finals. So far, it's been pretty good. Tonight's game was very exciting. Game one was obviously, entertaining. I'm pulling for Indiana, and it feels like to me that OKC is the more talented team, but Indiana seems like on this destiny with the way all these series went, winning every first game on a Tyrese Halliburton crazy shot. The first three series or four, all four series, he won game one, game two, or series two. Yeah, it's just crazy. So I'm taking the Pacers in 6, but I'll say if they lose game 4, it'll be OKC in 7.
Danny, we were talking about the betting lines early in this show. If you feel the same way Larry does, I can't remember what Frank's prediction was, but the odds makers right now have the Pacers plus 189 for the series. And the Pacers are underdogs in game 4, plus 6 money line, plus 192. That's your weird. Money down if you feel that way, brother. Win some money.
That's weird. Yeah, I think if OKC wins game 4, I think it goes 7 and it's OKC. But I think if Indiana wins game 4, they will win it back home in game 6. And
wow. That's interesting. And you got a thought on either the Giants, Niners, or Warriors on the way out?
Yeah, I think the Giants right now, they're playing, really good ball. They're playing over their head. It feels like smoke and mirrors with the, some of the guys they have. I just think what a difference it makes when you get real leadership in the house that actually from the top down, it just flows down and everybody picks up on the vibe and plays.
Is that Buster
better.
Posey? Is that who you're referring to?
Yeah. It's getting, it's just getting real baseball people running the show that know what's going on. As far as the Warriors goes, I've been hearing everything from marketing to, Giannis to,
Dan, why is Markkinen's name right now even floating out there? Like, do you know why? Because that,
I don't
are the
understand.
Jazz going to trade him? Like, I have no clue why Lowry Markkinen's name is suddenly being linked to the Warriors. But I've seen that too.
Yeah, don't know exactly what's going on there, but we'll see. It's in 2 weeks we're going to find out, or less. It's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. As far as the Niners go, I went into the offseason feeling like this is probably a 9-8 team, and then I saw the schedule, the way it's put out. You knew who they were going to be, but the whole schedule, and then their draft, and then once they signed, traded for the guy from Philadelphia, all of a sudden I'm drawing a blank. Huff. They got getting him on the edge. And what I would do if I was the Niners, I would go sign Jair Alexander, and I would trade for again, I'm drawing blanks, the Dolphins corner.
Jalen Ramsey,
and move him to free safety. And I would.
You want them both. You want them both.
Yeah, I would. You have the cap room. You have a soft schedule. You have the Super Bowl in your backyard. With the soft schedule, if you got the right players, you could somehow eke out the 1 seed with that schedule. And if you got all the horses, go for it like the Rams did that 1 year, where the Rams went for it the year they had the Super Bowl in LA. I would go for it. Because
way back when? Like in 84, you mean?
No, 4 years ago.
No, he's talking about when they won when they won with Stafford just a couple years ago, when they beat the Niners.
You mean the Rams? You said the Raiders. Did you mean the Rams?
No, he said Rams.
Rams. Yeah.
He said Rams.
Yeah. I would go for it because you have a soft schedule and now you're getting certain guys. And I've also heard the rumor.
Plus, you got $52 million of cap room.
That's what I mean.
And you got all these Hall of Famers who are in the twilight. Yeah, I totally agree. I think 49ers could use help on the defensive line, at corner, and at wide receiver. If they could get, I don't know if they, I might play my cards a little closer to the vest as far as, Jair Alexander and Ramsey. But I'll tell you the guy that I would be intrigued by is that the Bengals have Trey Hendrickson. They don't know what to do with him. He's had 17 sacks last year, 17 and a half the year before,
have
too.
A killer defensive line.
And they also have Shamar Stewart, who they've turned off. And, if I were the Niners, I would call the Bengals and say, you know what? I'll trade you a second-round pick and more for Shamar Stewart and add a young defensive end to your mix. Because to me, the 49ers get good defensive line play, their secondary is fine. But if they don't get good defensive line play, their secondary is not fine. So I would see if I could add a little bit more to my defensive line, even though I like Bryce Huff. That's interesting, though. That definitely is interesting.
Was Brock Purdy at the game tonight, by the way? Is that true? I saw people in the chat mentioning that, and
I think they were saying that he wasn't at the game tonight because he was at the Niners OTAs today. So there's no way.
Okay. But he's friends with Tyrese Halliburton. Is that true?
Yeah, they were freshmen. They had freshman classes together at Iowa State.
Interesting. All right. That's good.
Here's one more thing I want to share the screen on because this is kind of interesting. Tell me what you think about the viability of this guy coming to the Warriors. Bobby Portis reportedly is expected to have numerous landing spots. The Warriors are linked. He can decline his option. A lot of people saying he's going to get the mid-level. Jake Fisher from the Mark Stein newsletter says team executives expect Portis to have numerous potential landing spots in the mid-level market as well, although Milwaukee would like to bring back the 30-year-old forward, sources say. Golden State has always been a team to monitor for Portis, who has a notable fan in Kerr from their shared days during the 2023 FIBA World Championships with USA Basketball. Portis is 30. He's played 10 seasons in the NBA. I like that idea. I've always liked Bobby Portis. I think he would be a nice get in my mind.
The only reason why I'm going to pour water on that, and I'm starting to do so, is because he has a player option this year, which is he's going to have to opt out if he's going to be available, and that player option's for $13.4 million. So if he's opting out, that means he's probably expecting to get paid $15 to $20 million for a new multi-year deal, and that's so far out of the Warriors' like window of availability for spending. It's just I would love Portis. I'm not saying don't do it, but I just don't know if it's possible. It's
how concerned should Warrior fans be about the fact that Brandon Pajemski has had multiple surgeries? He had a core muscle surgery. He also had a left wrist surgery. The guy missed 18 games in his second season in the NBA. How concerned are you?
He's had that. He's had both surgeries in the offseason?
Just one today, one the other day.
Oh, geez. It's like me. I just had hip surgery, and I got to go in for back surgery next week. It's rough.
It's so rough. Hope you're okay, man.
I hope Dunleavy does not sign Coach Emilio.
Yeah. I mean, I'm washed. I'm washed.
How
did you get 5? Are you at 5,000 subs, by the way? Is that true?
I just went over tonight. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Did you really?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's no joke, man. That is
Thanks to Larry for getting me going. Yeah.
5,000 subs tonight for Dan Coach Emilio.
Impressive.
That is awesome, man. Everybody, if you're watching, go give Danny a like and a subscribe. Give Frank a like and a subscribe. Give Saya a like and a subscribe. I mean, it's a grind, man. It's a grind to build these things.
Yes, it is.
And it doesn't take – I don't care who you are. I think there's a lot of people who are figuring it out right about now that it doesn't matter if you're a big-name guy or not. It takes a lot of work, blood, sweat, and tears to build these YouTube channels.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't happen by itself. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen by accident. So, anyway, awesome job to all three of you guys. But Danny, 5,000 tonight.
What are you at, Larry? I mean, you're the king of this. Like, shit, you're the king of Bay Area sports media. But in terms of the subs, are you at 60 yet? I mean,
we're closing in. We're closing in on 60.
Bravo.
We're at 59,233.
Yeah. What 59? Hey, I know a guy that can get you over
59,233.
I know a guy that can get you over 100,000 here in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, you gonna buy some? The last thing you ever want to do is buy subs. Don't ever buy subs, folks.
And it's so obvious when they do, right? Because you can't have 100,000 subs, then your views are getting like your videos are getting like 50 views. Like something's up there if you see that happening.
Yes. If you see somebody, I mean, yeah, that's it. I don't even want to get into it. Bill says, guys, don't you think Jaylen Brown makes too much money? Well,
I mean, look, Bill has a point there. Jaylen Brown is scheduled to make. I have his contract in front of me. He's going to make $53 million this year. And if you're going to make the trade work, it's not going to just be Kuminga. It would be probably Kuminga, Moody, maybe even one or two other pieces to make the dollars work. But it's Jaylen Brown. You know, he's still under 30. So you're getting him right at his prime. You got him locked in for 4 years, which I think is a good thing. So his contract would end right when he turns, I think, 32. I know he's got the injury history. He had the knee surgery this year. So, I mean, look, I don't think there's a perfect player out there not named Giannis Antetokounmpo, but he ain't cheap. He's right about that.
Frank, you give us your final thought on the series and maybe a thought either on who you'd like to see Golden State go for this summer or draft pick or just a final thought on any direction you want to take it.
Yeah, this series has been great for me just as a basketball fan because from the start, I saw two evenly matched teams for different reasons. One team had stronger players on the court, and the other team had a coach who was very, very experienced, who was already a champion. So I saw those contrasts playing themselves out in an entertaining way on the court, and that has happened. With regards to the NBA and the Warriors, all of the like the number of machinations really bother me because I think ultimately it benefits the owners. And I would love to see the things that we're talking about actually play out and put a good team on the court that can challenge for a championship. I'm interested in seeing what happens with Jonathan Kuminga. I think that, the Cam Johnson first round pick to the Warriors thing could potentially work well for both teams. I don't want to see Jonathan Kuminga go through next year what he went through this year with Kirk coaching him. I don't want to see that. So if you're going to have him, he should be starting. He should have a large runway to go out and play. The last thing I'm going to say is, Larry, you know what, man? You are killing it with the 49ers. Everything that I follow your stuff, like a football fan, seriously. And I love what you're doing. I think you're the best at it. One of the things that I like is I'm a pretty positive guy. So I tend to kind of lean in positive commentary. This year, there's been zero drama with the 49ers. Zero. All of these great young players, these veterans that they're getting, it's entertaining to me. I'm excited. The 49ers have won the offseason to me. Now, a couple of things. I can't see Shanahan for the entire season at some point not calling the plays. I just don't see that happening. And number two, the Shador Sanders thing. I watch college football like I watch NFL football. And I think that, he did a whole lot of things wrong in the interview cycle, but that kid has physical talent, and we're watching that play out in Cleveland now. It's going to be interesting. Last thing is, I love
he's looked amazing, by the way, so far.
Yes. I love Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. I'll leave it at that. I love it. I can't wait for the NFL season to start. It's going to be awesome.
What was your play calling reference to? Like, is Kyle Shanahan not calling the plays this year? What's going on?
Well, they have a new offensive coordinator. It's Clay Kubiak, and I don't know if Gary's one of Gary's kids. Gary's got two kids. One's Clint, and he's the Seahawks OC, and one's Clay, who's the Niners OC. I don't know who's going to call the plays. I think as long as Shanahan is here, he's going to call the plays.
Yeah, I think so too. I do.
Though I will say this, it's like when you do something over and over and over again, and you're trying to have success, well, eventually people understand your trends, and then sometimes it's good to have somebody else just to throw the people off your scent a little bit. But yeah, I think Shanahan, as long as he's here, I think he's gonna wind up calling plays. Thank you for those comments, by the way, Frank. I definitely take them to heart. I care. Kevin and I care a lot about the channel, and we really want it to be good. And it's become my life project. I really didn't think it was when I started, but it really is, and I love it. I absolutely love it. The channel is doing very, very well, and we're very happy with it. And you guys, that's another reason why I'm really happy tonight. And I'm really glad that Danny's here with getting 5,000 subs, because, man, I started this thing. It was just me, and Danny came aboard. Rye came aboard, and we were like the Three Musketeers. And the first year we did a lot of shows together. And why, people say, why do you help these guys so much? I help these guys so much because they're OGs in my channel. They're my friends.
Are people saying that to you, actually? Why are you helping?
People will be like, why are you helping other people build audiences that could take audiences away from your channel? Because I don't care about that. I truly believe in abundance. It's like if you do good things, I'm a karma guy. I really believe in karma. Maybe it's the Irish Catholic in Carol Kruger. My mom was Irish Catholic. She just very, very, do not tell a lie. Do not, and you don't do it for any other reason than it's the right thing to do. But, it's always like karma. It's like Irish. I'm part Irish and part Catholic, so I've got guilt for days. So it's like if I do anything wrong, the guilt would probably kill me before anything else. So that's why, I help Danny. That's why I promote Frank. That's why Despite Cy and I yelling at each other, he's back here because bottom line is I'm about my friends and I'm about the people that have been about me and the people that have when Frank is here, when Danny's here, when Cy's here, they could be other places doing other things and doing quite well doing those things. So I respect their time, I respect them as men, and I respect their channels, and I'm going to help build their channels. And if you guys all build up and it's awesome, man, I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I know, Danny, you have a sponsor too. The people that have sponsored my channel, I mean, they've given me opportunities and open doors, and we're just taking it to the next level. And I really do enjoy it.
I read this interview, Larry. It was a woman in her, I think, late 90s, and she was asked, what's your advice for younger people? And one of the most important things she emphasized was gratitude, just being thankful for the people around you. And you expressing that is huge. I feel the same way. Every time I have a guest on my show, like half of me is just thinking, this person could be doing other things. This person is taking time, the most valuable commodity we all have. It's priceless, and just giving that to me. And I always trip out about that. So I'm props to you for just being aware, because most people aren't.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is too that I'm sorry, Danny, but I was just saying the fact of the matter is, oftentimes, we look up and we're beating the radio stations, and I'm sitting there going, whoa, how are we doing that? Mm-hmm. But it's happened, and I appreciate KMBR for giving me an opportunity to come back and be contributing to their station, and also to be able to keep my channel and to still do what I'm loving doing, which is this channel.
It's Danny, an awesome, you were going to say something. What you've been doing, man. It's like Frank said, get my Niner news there. I don't have to follow it as intently as I used to and look up everything. I get the alerts. They're boom. I see exactly what's going on, and I go, okay, cool. It's been great to get the OTA updates the last couple days outside the stadium. See the trains coming by.
They were hosing down the stadium, and all of a sudden I just got dumped on all this water. Just as I'm doing this video, all of a sudden it's just all this water came down. But I'll say this: when I on Twitter, like if you guys go on Twitter, or if I follow you guys, all of a sudden I see one of you guys going live. I mean, I'll say this, man. Giants game ends and Danny's going live, and it's like I kind of beam with a little bit of pride, because I know I had a hand in that, and and I love the dialogue, and I know the audience loves the dialogue as well. So
is that your bread and butter, Danny? The Giants? Is that
yeah, that's the wheelhouse. It really is. I mean, I love all three sports, obviously. I mean, and I do them all, but I mean, Giants has been kind of my thing since I was like 8 years old,
Dan, let me say this too. I've noticed, like, I'm going to really work to blow my channel up this summer, because I'm going to have some time to do it. But Dan, I know you send a lot of people over to me on Sunday nights, and I really appreciate that. Over the past month, the likes and the audience has really gone up. Awesome. I have a small audience, but people are really, really loyal. It's amazing how loyal they are, and how they're helping me, liking the show and building content and so on and so forth. So the potential of the show is there, and it's going to rise. I just got to put the time into using all the tools and resources that I have. But I know many of your listeners, Dan, once they leave you, you shuffle them over to the Dungeon Show. And it's great, man. We have a great thing going on Sunday
That's
night.
Awesome. Yeah, I love your show, and I love helping, like Larry. Larry kind of passed that down to me, just helping other people, because, first when you first start out, you're like, man, someone else is doing this, and they're competing against you, and then you know what? Life is so short. It's just better just to promote everybody and hope everybody does well. Since I started doing Giants thing post game, there's been 3 or 4 more coming in, and I just kind of applaud them all and figure, hey, there's room for all of us, and
it's awesome too. I mean, you had Glenn Kuiper on the other day, and you've had Marty on, Ned Coletti. These are good analysts providing great content, and it's awesome stuff. And I've been listening to Frank going back to 1140 days on driving back from Sacramento to the Bay Area. His content is always strong. Cy has built an incredible following in a very, very short amount of time. I did see that his former company, Locked On, merged today with Gulf Sports Network, something or other.
What does that mean? What's Gulf? I've never heard of that.
It's just they're Locked On's trying to grow like everybody else, right? Because they're seeing guys like yourself leave them and kick their ass. And
they try to get you too and lowballed you. I mean, that dude, that was so sketchy, man.
Yeah,
what they're
not
pretending to offer you was insane. Right?
Sorry, I have time. Let's do lunch. I want to pick your brain.
Well, let's do a show, Frank. I'm going to ask you to come on soon, man. Let's just do a show. Well, we could do lunch as well, obviously. But like my audience has brought your name up, Frank, and they're like, you got to get him on. He knows his hoops, and one of my biggest goals is just giving the people what they want. Right? We're here to entertain and provide good content. Frank, what did you tweeted something earlier, and I missed this in the show. What did Richard Jefferson say that you thought was condescending to Doris Burke?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know what, man?
I didn't see this.
Listen. Well, it wasn't it wasn't horrible, but here's the thing: rumors and these marchmen, these people are all like, "Well, Doris Burke is not slated to come back next year." You know how crushing that is?
Yeah.
This is a woman who's been doing this stuff for 20 plus years, and she finally gets an opportunity. I think they kind of got set up because no way in hell is Richard Jefferson and Doris Burke better than Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy. But you know what? Change happens. Okay. There was a play that Doris Burke said, you know what? I think that's a foul. Richard Jefferson goes, and I don't think he meant to be malicious. He goes, Doris, that's no way that's a foul. And, when you hear that, when you don't have that, well, I played in the NBA brand as a woman, it's tough. Because
it shut her down. And it was me. It was mean-spirited. Yeah.
Well, I took it as such because I understand the dynamics of what she's trying to do. She's the first woman analyst for a national company. Now, that should not in and of itself mean that she gets all of these passes, but be a good teammate. That's all I'm saying. The
other end of that coin, and I bring this up because I remembered it the other day. Rick Barry and I were talking about this, and Larry, Frank, all three of you maybe remember this. Like Tom Tolbert, for a brief while, was with ESPN as a color analyst calling NBA games. But it wasn't just him. It was like maybe he was by himself some games, but every time I remember watching, it was a play-by-play guy. I forgot who it was. Tolbert and Bill Walton.
Right.
And Bill Walton treated Tolbert like such shit on those broadcasts. I swear to God, Tolbert couldn't say a word anymore because every time he said something, Walton would follow that with, Tom, what nonsense is this that you're saying here?
Yes.
Oh, that was not a foul. Only a moron would think that was a foul. And he blasted him. And Tolbert couldn't really say anything back because Tolbert was a role player in his career, talking to this Hall of Famer, right? And I feel like the dynamic's similar here.
No, it is. And the interesting thing was, on this one particular play, Mike Breen goes to Steve Jabby, right? And Jabby gives his, dissertation on the play. And ultimately, he agreed with Doris Burke. And Richard Jefferson had to defend himself by talking about the long history that he and Jabby have had, and they haven't gotten along, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, you don't have to do that. All right?
Yeah.
I mean, he had a different opinion.
I heard that.
What I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just like, yo, stop doing that.
I'm very unimpressed. I'm very unimpressed by ESPN's basketball the people they've kept and the people they've dumped.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one, I like Bob Myers. I don't think Bob Myers says anything. I don't really like Perkins. I do like the young lady, whose sister covered the Warriors? Malik Andrews. I think she's really good, but she seems nervous at times and kind of, a little too tight, not relaxed. Hey, you're good and you got the job. Just relax. She needs to relax a little bit. Other than her relaxing, I don't like Perkins. I don't love Myers. I don't like Jefferson. To me, Legler, in some of the segments that he has with SVP, are some of the best analysis segments, but it's like he's like sometimes there, sometimes not there. I don't know. I don't understand ESPN's cast and why they keep certain people, why they don't. Windy does nothing for me. Windy, Woj I thought was pretty good. Obviously he quit. They took Shams, but I mean I think their basketball, there's not one person on their coverage that I'm like, yeah, you know what? I absolutely want to hear what they have to say. It's
interesting because Cy, you have Rick on a lot, and I remember when Rick did NBA commentary, and he was great at it, and yet
he was. This is the 80s you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
like early
the
80s.
80s. Yeah. He would still be great today because he would say things that are, really talk about the basketball players, the way basketball players get away with traveling, all the different things that, bug Rick. But it's funny because I remember Rick, I was at his basketball camp as a 8th grader after the Warriors won the championship 74-75. And at his camp, it was still Keith Wilkes before he changed his name to Jamal Wilkes.
Yes.
And Jim Barnett was there. And I learned a couple of moves from Jim Barnett in camp. That really helped me playing in high school. But Rick it's funny because you're tight with Rick. My brother coached all of Rick's sons at De La Salle.
Incredible. That's
I just saw Scooter at a party when I was out with Damon Bruce in San Francisco, the guardsman thing, and Scooter, his oldest son, was there, and I love Scooter, man.
Yeah.
Scooter, I saw Scooter play for De La Salle against my San Ignatius Wildcats, and we talked about it, and man, I love Rick. Rick is one of my favorite guys. It's funny. I think Rick
he's brought that up. He's told me to
Rick's just a dude, just a solid dude.
Yeah,
I mean, he really is. I mean, I can't tell you how well that guy has treated me through the years and the humanity. Rick gets a bad rap. He gets a bad rap.
And look, he probably will admit he made mistakes too, but whatever gave him this reputation, if you will, that is negative. If this stuff is true, whatever it is, it was so long ago, man. Everything I've ever known about Rick has just been class and generous, and he's just like you said, a very good person. Misunderstood is the way I always label him in terms of the perception thing. Like even years after I stopped being his executive producer at KNBR, he still would call me on my birthday. That was one of the most insane things ever. I just get a call. I'm like,
he sends me Christmas cards. He sends me Christmas cards with dancing elves. It's dancing elves and stuff like that. I mean, Rick's the man. Rick's the man.
Incredible.
Incredible. Great guy. Great sire too. I mean, he's like a thoroughbred racehorse.
Yeah, he's like Secretariat, man.
You should ask Rick next show. Rick, what's your stud fee? What's your stud fee? If you get a tall woman who wants to have a great basketball player and she says, "Come on, what's that going to run?" Seriously. The Rick Barry,
like $5 million
Rick Barry Farms. Rick Barry Farms.
What can he get away with? Like $5 million a bottle, right? I mean,
dude, if you want Secretariat to hook up with your horse, man, that's going to cost you millions, I believe.
He'd be his own sperm bank. He'd make a fortune. Just.
By the way, one last video I got to show you guys. You want to talk about how time is cruel and life. Everybody has their shelf life. Yeah. Look at this highlight and tell me that this guy's not going to have a bad year. Look at Deebo Samuel here.
There's a little blubber. There's a little blubber on the sides there. I saw that.
Talk that he was like, oh, Deebo's in amazing shape. I don't know.
He had a bad year last year, man. I'm glad they moved on.
That's going to do it for us, though. Give everybody a like and a subscribe. Danny's is NorCal Sports Network. His moniker is the California flag with the golden bear on there. So look up NorCal Sports Network. Give Danny a like and a subscribe. Danny, when do you go live? Tease your channel and and we'll say goodnight.
Yeah, we'll be back live tomorrow night at 8:00. Giants play in the afternoon, but afternoon shows don't really do that great for lives. So we'll go live tomorrow at 8, and hopefully if the Giants win tomorrow, they are tied with identical records going into LA Friday night.
Ooh, that'll be fun. Friday night, Giants Dodgers. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Frank, tell people when you stream next and how they can find your channel and it's right there on the screen in the Dungeon Show. But tell people when you go live next.
Sunday nights at 9:00 every Sunday and never miss. So tune in for that. And when you in the dungeon, there are no spaces in between, so make sure you get that right. Subscribe to the show. Give me a like. Follow me at Big Frank Red, and we're going to try to push it up to 1,000 subscribers. Got a way to go, but that's what we're working towards. And thank you for the opportunity. It's great to see you, Dan, always. And it's awesome, fellas. Thank you.
You got to start making those buckets, Frank. You got to start making some cash.
Upward,
that'd be nice. I can't wait, man. That'd be nice.
And Cy, tell us when you go live again for people who want to check you out. And what's your plan this offseason? If people want to say, hey, I want to catch Cy and I don't want to miss a minute of Warrior coverage. What's your schedule this offseason?
Right. So when the Warrior season ended, I honestly, man, I'm not being exaggerating. I'm not being hyperbolic here. I've never felt mental exhaustion like that in my life, dude. I had to take like over a week off just to sleep. I literally was just sleeping. Just had my dog with me. I was just snuggling with him, and that was my life, dude. I was burned out. I'm starting to get the wheels rolling again. The engine's starting to rev up again because we've got a very busy offseason ahead of us. And I have no clue what's going to happen with this Jonathan Kuminga situation. My prediction is largely because of the math. Kuminga, side note, does want to stay with the Warriors. Like, he likes being a member of the Warriors. He likes the Bay Area, just like everyone does, Larry, as you mentioned. He's not begging to be traded or to leave. The sentiments were not like this 3 months ago. 3 months ago, he wanted out. But that has changed. Like, he wants to stay. And my prediction is him and the Warriors will come to some sort of agreement where, at least for next year, Kuminga's salary will be below what maybe he wants, so that the team can be flexible enough to bring other free agents in. But that's what we're doing on the show, man. We're as soon as the regular season, or in this case, the postseason's over, we're going to really start ratcheting up the content because there's going to be a lot of moving pieces. And I am fascinated to see what happens with the Warriors this offseason. I think realistically, here's my personal wish list. And I don't know if you guys like this or not, but this is what I hope they do. On a pragmatic level. I mean, if I had all the power, it would be a whole different story. But pragmatically speaking, Kuminga comes back at a reduced rate. Let's say 20 to 25 million this year, and then you make up for that with bigger amounts in the future years of the contract. You bring back DeAnthony Melton. If he's available for cheap, I don't know if he is. He might be commanding 10, 15 million. If that's the case, the Warriors have no shot. If you can get him on the cheap and add a second player like, say, Brook Lopez, or a veteran center that can stretch the floor, that can make life easy,
Larry Nance Jr.
Who?
Larry Nance Jr. shoots 46% from three.
I have a whole list here of prospects. I'm guessing we all want to go, but
good. Throw them out.
Well, here's some names that are in the realistic realm of the Warriors, right? There's Brook Lopez, Clint Capella.
Okay.
Yay or nay?
Let me hear the rest of the list.
Okay, I'll go through these. These are like realistic yet enticing names that are within the potential price range of the Warriors. Bruce Brown. Side note, I would absolutely love that. Luke Kennard may or may not be too expensive. Steven Adams. Marvin Bagley III, who we just talked about, is going to be a free agent. Chris Boucher, who's been with the Raptors for a number of years, formerly a Warrior. Larry Nance Jr. Al Horford, old, but if the Warriors get him, that would be awesome. Trey Lyles. Okay, that's just up top. That's just some names.
I like Nance Jr. Why? Because he's a big man who I think at this point is ready to play highly efficient, winning basketball. So I mean, you got Draymond Green, You want that guy who starts in the front court to be a stretch player
Yes.
that can, you know. So I love the idea of Steven Adams, but not with Draymond Green. If Draymond Green were a stretch 4, then I'd say Steven Adams. But with Draymond Green being an inside player, give me Larry Nance Jr. 46.9% or 47%. He was like a really, really high percentage. Granted, it's on a limited sample size, but this guy's still an above the rim player. He's smart. He's a great guy. He's been on some good teams. I think if you really want to play high level basketball, you're going to have to, you know, I want to keep adding younger players, but you're going to have to add some really efficient, quality role players, and I think Nance fits that description.
I agree.
Like
I would love Nance. Frank, what about you? I mean,
Brook Lopez.
Yeah. It's Lakers and Warriors, they say, competing for Brook. So
and it's in a lot, yeah. So regardless, man. So Golden Days, we're now back to a sort of full-time schedule. But I want to give props. One last thing, talking about just watching other people on your program kind of grow, and you know, you do your best to nurture this individual and support them. Sophia Jones, she joins my program every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. She was my student at San Jose State University. When I first met her, all I knew was that she played for San Jose State as on the team. She was a backup point guard. And I knew her dad, Mark Jones, but I had no idea that was her daughter. And so this relationship, I'm communicating with her. She's my student, along with 19 other people in this classroom. And then she, when I find out who she is, and we started having conversations about that, she starts becoming a guest first on the previous show on Locked On Warriors. Then I give her a weekly slot after she graduates college on Golden Days, and she is now the color analyst for the Golden State Valkyries. So every radio broadcast of the Valkyries, WNBA, it's Kevin Dana, who also does the play-by-play for the Santa Cruz Warriors, and the color analyst is Sophia Jones. So, dude, I'm a proud papa with her, man, and awesome. To see her grow is phenomenal. And she's on every Monday. So I don't know if the Valkyries are in the wheelhouse of your program, Larry, but we do talk about them a little bit. It's not enough to do on a daily basis, but we try to give the ladies some love. And thank you for having me. I missed you guys. Great to be back. Thank you.
What do they broadcast on radio? What station? Where?
The Game, 95.7 The Game.
Really?
And yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy? And so after every game, her and Kevin Dana do a 30-minute post-game show. It's crazy, man. Yeah, to see someone that was like your student.
That's wild. I didn't know they broadcast on radio. I'm going to check some of that stuff out.
Hey,
I want to call you on television.
I'm sure you saw this, Cy, but and you other guys probably saw it too on Twitter with Kuminga's workout. Did you guys see that the other day?
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
He looks good.
Yeah. I mean, he looked like he was developing a little floater. That the fact that I do too agree. I think he's going to remain a Warrior. I think it's going to be tough to trade him. I think it looks to me like only Brooklyn is maybe the only viable team that has the room to get Kuminga, and
I would love to have their picks, though, man. They've got four. They've got 4 first-round picks, so they got 2 second-round picks. Man, I'd love to have a couple of those picks.
Like Frank, you brought up Cam Johnson, and the reason why I don't usually mention his name much for the Warriors. I know some people really love the idea of him, but he turns 30 this year, so you're not getting. Okay, yeah. Well, but here's the other reason why Cam Johnson is a name I usually poo-poo is because he played for Kerr in the FIBA Cup in 2023, and by the end of that tournament, he was out of the rotation. Mm-hmm. So I feel like if you're gonna trade for someone, and especially if you're involving Jonathan Kuminga, you probably want to bring someone back that Kerr would actually have trust in and have faith in.
You have to.
That's a good nugget. I didn't know that he was on that team.
Yeah. You mean
you know who Kerr really likes is White Celtics.
Oh yeah.
He loves. I mean,
you can get Derek White for Moses Moody. Sign me up. I'm in.
I heard Moses Moody for Hauser.
Oh, see, that's okay.
I don't mind that either.
I don't mind it.
Hauser's
I'd
a
rather
shooter.
have White.
That's going to do it for us. I do want to thank Pig and a Pickle. They've been with me since the beginning. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show.
Yeah.
Thanks to Damon and Mary. Go check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. The show's also sponsored, as you can see over my head here, by LearnKey Upskill Academy. It's an online learning platform designed to get you job ready in 6 months or less. So it doesn't matter what field you're interested in. They offer 30 different certification programs to help you take that next step in your professional career. So if you're between jobs or a little underskilled or just want to change careers, give them a look. Check it out. 37 years they've been in business. They've worked with over 200,000 students. They place about 100 students a month in really well-paying jobs. So thanks to them.
Wow.
Also, thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. I love Anthony Catania. He's a great sponsor of the Krug Show. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, on the Monterey Peninsula. Anthony's at 831-521-5264, and he's a great follow on Instagram at Sharp Corners 831 on the gram, as they say, the kids say.
What was the name of that sponsor again? The one with the jobs?
LearnKey Upskill Academy. And the link's in the description below.
That's impressive.
DeMarcus Cousins was just telling me he wanted to know. So, okay, DeMarcus, learn key.
He's underskilled. If you like to
Larry,
throw water at people.
What does 49er diehard in the chat mean about this delete the tweet? Is that, do you understand it? Because I can't follow. Saying delete that tweet about Debo.
I said... No, I will not delete it. I said that Debo. I showed those highlights. It was a Chase Senior tweet, and I said, "Is this slow mo?" No, I'm not taking it down. What the hell? I can't be a smartass? I mean, what is it? What is it? You little Mother Hubbard over here? What are you? The Twitter?
By the way, Larry, I promise I'm not saying this to be a kiss ass or anything. I'm being genuine here. Did you lose weight and did you get sun? Because you look good, brother.
Minicamp. Yeah,
but
little
you
sun.
you look like you shed about 10, 15 pounds. I don't know if that's legit or if I'm just seeing
all the stress of getting yelled at by you has drove me into a thing where I'm like, hey, I can't eat. I just can't eat. I can't think. I can't eat. I can't drink. I can't sleep. I miss you. I love you. It's been terrible.
That is true on my part as well.
I missed the opening. I was, on my show. Did you guys start the show off with Kumbaya or what? I missed it.
No, we finished the fight. We finished the fight. No.
Yeah. Let me say one thing because and this is music related. Anybody know who Florence Pugh is? She was just in the Thunder. Florence Pugh is an actress, and she's
Mrs. Brady, right?
Huh?
Mrs. Brady.
Florence, that's Florence Henderson.
No.
Florence Pugh, the Thunderbolts.
Yes. Now here's the thing, man. First of all, I love her voice, but I've only known her as an actress, and I'm always looking on YouTube and stuff. Did you know that she's a great singer?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. She has a YouTube channel, and like some songs she did like 10 years ago when she was really young.
I just discovered them now.
Yeah, I think a lot of
phenomenal singer. She's never put an album out, by the way.
I think a lot of people experience what you did. They're like, wait, what? This is the same person? And then they heard her. Yeah.
What a great voice.
Agreed.
I got one last question before we get out of here for Larry. Do you put any credence into the rumors about the trade with Washington for Ayuk and McLaurin? And what percentage do you see of that possibly happening?
Well, it doesn't seem like it makes sense for Washington, who's trying to win the Super Bowl, to get rid of McLaurin. But we don't know how much Jaden Daniels wants Ayuk to be on his team. Also, it seems like Ayuk seems like he's unhappy. McLaurin seems like he's unhappy. I've been told by a couple people who cover the Commanders that they'll work it out and McLaurin will be there. But I think it makes perfect sense. I think it does. Why? Because I think it, the regime in Washington's got lots of time. They got a very young quarterback. Ayuk will be healthy by November, and then they'll have the younger receiver who is the favorite of their quarterback, as opposed to McLaurin, who's a couple of years older. Now, why would the Niners want to do this? Well, because I think it's kind of a crucial year for Shanahan and Lynch, and you'd get the healthy receiver this year. I think you could probably make a deal and make it win-win. It probably isn't going to happen. It's probably going to be Ayuk stays with the Niners and McLaurin works out a deal with the Commanders. But you never know. You never know because McLaurin's not happy there, and it doesn't sound like they're in a rush to give him a contract. A couple supers or a couple non-supers, a couple comments I want to throw out here before we get out of here. We got this one, Jacob Gordon. Larry didn't forget about his homies after he hit the big time. He wants to bring them all up too. Well, that's the way I am. Tommy Huxley, Larry's the absolute best. If you said I was the worst, I probably
How
wouldn't
modest
have put
of
it
you,
up there.
Larry, to pick that one out to show everyone. That's very humble.
Exactly, very humble. And then we got this one, Jacob Gordon. Larry, your channel puts out better content than other channels with double your current subscribers. Other 49er content creators come off as exceedingly arrogant. You don't, and I appreciate that. Oh, but if you really knew how arrogant I actually am, you'd really hate me. Anyway,
before we go, I got a quick bold take about the finals. I don't know if you guys agree with me or
please.
not.
No, go for
to
it.
me, Indiana has to win Game 4. If they don't, OKC wins the finals. Your thoughts?
That's exactly what I said. If Indiana wins Game 4, they win it in 6. If OKC wins Game 4, OKC wins it in 7.
Good call.
I think it does. I think OKC is so wrecked by Game 1, and Chet is so uncomfortable that I think Indiana can win any game in this series in either location. And they got 2 wins, and they got 4 games to get 2 more. So I personally like I guess 5 games, right? No, 4 games. I like Indiana. I took OKC to win the series originally, but I like Indiana. I think Indiana.
I hope they win, man. I'm rooting for them. I hope the Pacers win.
Yeah, our buddy Lou Marston, he got Indiana before the playoffs started 2,500 to 1.
Did he really?
And he put some serious money on it.
Wow. I may wager a little bit on Indiana just because you can still get a little decent price.
Exactly.
All right, that's going to do it for us. I'm back tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday, and so tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I'll be streaming with Damon because he's going to San Diego on Friday, so we're going to stream on Thursday. So check that out tomorrow morning.
It's all about Damon, Larry. As you know, whatever his schedule is, you have to work around that. So I'm sorry to hear that. So
there you go. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Frank. Thanks to Danny. Thanks to Cy. Thanks to all of you. Hit like and subscribe on your way out the door. Subscribe to these guys' channels because they put out great content. Love all 3 of you guys. Have a great night, everybody. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of.